That's jam.
There we are. Okay, good. Everything's working. Beasley, I don't know what I'm gonna do with you guys. So everybody's watching the commercials right now. So
Yeah,
I will go ahead and get started. So welcome to Thursday nights, Fish North Georgia's The Livewell here on YouTube. We appreciate those of you that will be watching tonight, that will be joining in on the conversation. And if you're watching this at a later date, we appreciate you as well. So we've got a really good episode for you tonight. If you're watching on YouTube, hey, go ahead and click that subscribe button and the little bell there so you can be notified of any future content. Also, give us a follow on Facebook at Fish North Georgia and the Fish North Georgia group page as well. You can get us on Instagram and Twitter at Fish North Georgia, but on Twitter it's Fish North GA. So definitely look into that. And this episode of the Livewell is brought to you by Rachel Collins with 400homes.com. She is the official realtor of Fish North Georgia. If you're looking to buy or sell your home, Rachel is the realtor for you. Her service area covers all of North Georgia from Alpharetta to the Tennessee line. She's not only going to give you great professional service, but she's also an angler just like us. So if you're in the market, the real estate market right now, hey, let's keep it within our community and let's give her some business and some love. And also, if you got friends or family that are looking to buy or sell a home, refer Rachel there. You can get in touch with her at Rachel at 400homes.com or give her a call at 770-310-0599. And again, Fish North Georgia and the Livewell would like to.
Right and point at the sponsor.
I will turn. Yeah, right there. We appreciate you, Rachel, for your support. And again, here's the beautiful sign right behind us. You will see it all through the episode if I can get my head out of the way and stuff like that. So again, Rachel at 400homes.com, the official realtor of the Livewell here at Fish North Georgia. So guys, listen, we got a great episode for you. Jeremiah Giles is back in the house. He's been on a couple of times. Known as a swim bait guy, but we're gonna try to expand that a little bit tonight. And of course, we got Ryan here with me. Beasley's right over there with his dugout hat, and Paul is running the show back there. Did I do something wrong? Keep going. All right, so I didn't mean to do that. I took a big swig of Pepsi right there before that, so you guys excuse me with that. But hey, listen, we guys are blessed here in the southeastern United States. Everything is biting right now. Everything's getting ready to spawn. Fishing is good, all species. Just to kind of give you an example of how great we got it, I had a customer order some stuff on Fish North Georgia Day from Minnesota. And I actually talked to him on the phone, and their lakes are still frozen. So we're right here in prime time right now, and them guys up north are still having to wait for their lakes to thaw out to even fish. So
waiting for ice out, eh?
Huh? Yeah.
Waiting for ice out.
Ice out, waiting for that ice to go.
Some brown trouts and some walleyes.
So I guess I don't know what but he bought the daylights out of our True Grit Shaky Head. So we do appreciate that. So we're getting our stuff up in Minnesota. So anyway, guys, of course, as we go tonight, make sure that you what's up, Brown Baker? Make sure that you give us a lot of your comments, suggestions, questions that you might have for Jeremiah, for Ryan, or for Beasley, and we'll make sure that we get everything answered to the best of our abilities for you. And we're just have some good couple hours of fishing talk tonight. So looking forward to it. So how about you, Ryan?
I'm excited. I'm ready to go.
Are you excited?
I'm ready to go.
How about you, Beasley? You awake? No. This kid's been on spring break. He's been fishing 6 days in a row.
I'm sure.
Yeah, some of us have to work. What's up, Elijah, man? Some of us, James, some of us have to work for a living, and we're not, we don't get to fish all the time. But anyway, with that being said, Jeremiah, thank you for coming back on the show. How's life been treating you?
It's been pretty good. I've been doing a lot of fishing, doing a lot of showing people things, teaching people, putting stuff up every day. I'm getting a lot of feedback. So all of those people who message me on Instagram and stuff like that, and they show me pictures of fish. Dude, I tried that thing that you were talking about. It worked. Thank you.
How about dropping your handles real quick so people know where they can find you?
I have a TikTok, I have an Instagram, and a YouTube. Those are all King of Anglers, Jeremiah on everything. And on Facebook is just my name, Jeremiah Giles. Giles. That's how you spell it.
There you go. So what kind of fishing you been doing lately?
I've been mixing it up, doing a little bit of everything. Mostly bass fishing as usual, but also some crappie fishing, some white bass, hybrid striper fishing. I've done a little bit of catfishing, but not so much because the catfish bite for me normally picks up more in the summertime.
Right.
And I've kind of messed around with the carp a little bit too, because they're getting ready to spawn too. You'll be out there bass fishing and you just see a 20-pounder jump skying out of the water. And so I've been doing a little bit of that too.
Absolutely. If you go out to Rocky Mountain PFA, you can see these monster carp. Everybody's out for the bass, and especially when they get on bed this time of year, you'll see the bed, you're targeting the bass, and all of a sudden you see something swimming up, and you're like, oh, that's a monster. It's one of them big old carps. I can't imagine how they would fight and all that kind of stuff. For those that don't know you, you do primarily most of your fishing from the bank.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So your approach to lakes and stuff like that's a little different than, say, us that are going from the boat. Still kind of probably targeting the same area, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to cover that tonight as well. So do you have GPS coordinates of where the fish are biting?
No.
How about anywhere that it's wet right now? What do you think about that, Ryan? I mean, it's pretty good right now.
I agree. It's pretty good.
That's it. That's your
If
in-depth.
if you can't catch them, you can watch golf.
That's right. It is the Masters week. And also, guys, hey, listen, I know tonight's opening night for the Braves. So you guys, as you were watching this,
World champion.
that's right, and listening to us, we hope, drop us some scores every once in a while. Let us help keep up with the game, stuff like that. So my kid's going to both games this weekend. So, yeah, I can't imagine the crowd down there. All right, so let's jump straight into it. Right now, let's talk bass fishing. That's our predominant audience right now. How are you approaching bass right now? What are you looking for? What are you doing?
It kind of depends on where I'm looking for them at. See, if I'm on a big reservoir, I can do a lot of the same things that the guys in boats are doing. I just approach it a little bit differently because there's only so much bank access.
Right.
So I actually have a couple of lake maps, and I'll write out all the areas that I can find on there that have fish attracting features. Like there's a point here, or there's a little drop off there, or there's a set of docks here that I can maybe make a long cast to that goes right down to the main creek channel or something like that. So based off of whatever time of year it is, I can kind of gauge where the fish are going to be at, and I can just take a approach to it like that. Like I'll use different baits and things too to kind of figure out what the bottom content is like. Like if I throw out a football jig and I drag it across the bottom and I feel a lot of like little chunk rock and stuff like that off of this point, I know that there's probably going to be fish there at certain times of the day, like maybe early in the morning. They'll come up and push a school bait fish up there and feed, or there might be a couple of stragglers that'll sit there during the day. You can probably pick them off with bottom baits like a shaky head, something like that.
Right.
So I can do a lot of the same things that guys do on boats. It's just a little bit different because you only have so much access.
Right.
And I have to be more thorough than the guys in boats because they can roll up and hit this point and hit the next point and hit the next point. I have to be a lot more.
You got to fish it.
Yeah, you have to actually fish it and break it down.
Right. Okay, I got you. Question from a viewer, Tom Levette. Can you bow fish up there?
I'm assuming that's Rocky.
I'm assuming so.
At Rocky. I wouldn't think so on Rocky Mountain. They're pretty strict up there.
Yeah.
But there are some monster carp.
Those are grass carp in Rocky. Usually they don't want you.
Yeah, that's right. They are grass carp. So if you're catching fish on a 500-yard stretch and it keeps reloading, would you move after a few hours to go find more?
Normally, you don't want to leave feeding fish to go find fish, generally. But I will move if they all happen to be the same size, or if they're on and then they quit, and I kind of know that they're going to turn on at another time. Like, say, they might be there early in the morning, and you'll catch them back to back, and then they kind of slow down middle of the afternoon, and I'll go someplace else, and I might fish that point again sometime closer to sunset. Things like that happen.
I got you.
Or if all the fish are cookie cutter size, 1.5 pounds, 2 pounds, and you want something a little bit bigger, I'll move.
I got you. So Neil Scoggin says you need a boat, need to become a guide.
Yeah, people keep telling me that all the time. I've actually been jumping on a bunch of random folks' boats over the past year and a half, because they'll see all these results I'm getting and all this information I'm putting out, and so they'll fish with me in person. I'll just jump on their boat and they'll be like, well, there's going to be fish here, here, and here. We go to these places. I'm normally right, and we pick off fish even on really bad days.
Normally right, huh?
Normally right. I have like a 98% accuracy rate.
That you can catch fish.
Don't mean that we're gonna catch every fish down there, but I'll take you to at least where they are.
Right. And so
we'll see them.
Right. But
might catch five.
You've learned this just from reading maps, and so you're basically kind of doing what we do in a boat. You're picking out, this ought to be a good spot. This should hold fish. It should hold fish at this time of year, stuff like that. Doesn't always work that way, but it does. I mean, it is kind of basically very similar. So, using maps like this, like you got right in your hand right now, you got a Lake Lanier, you got the old school maps. A lot of people don't use that anymore. We actually got some in the store for the purpose of people that can actually use them to study, before they get on their electronics and stuff like that. So,
Right.
let's say you haven't fished Lanier before. Let's just say you haven't. You got a map. What are you looking for after you find where the bank access is? So what are you studying on that map? What are you looking for on that?
Well, let's say that you've never been to Lake Lanier before ever a day in your life.
And James Larry says you're usually spot on. So there you go. You got your compliment right there.
So let's say you've never fished Lake Lanier ever before a day in your life. I've actually got lake maps where I have highlighted and put down. I'm not sure if you can zoom in on that, but I've written down and circled and highlighted just about every spot where there's going to be some fish at some point during the year. On certain maps, I have used different color highlighters based on the seasons. Like I'll use pink for fall or orange for spring,
A little bit
something like that.
Other way.
Am I right?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
There we go. That's it.
So, I'll highlight different things like points, humps, creek channels, ledges, drop-offs, all kinds of stuff like that. And you can, on these maps, they normally highlight where boat ramps are or where public parks are or, marinas. If you know somebody who stays at a marina, you got some marina access, something like that. There's actually some fish attracting features around stuff like that. You might find some brush piles, whatever, around there.
Right.
And so I'll go to these places. I got a milk run of a bunch of different spots. I know a whole bunch of different spots around Lanier. So I'll go from place to place and I'll throw different baits and pick them at certain times where I know that there's going to be fish there. Like some spots I can catch fish there all summer long. Other times they may only be there a few months out of the year.
Right.
So
you just learn that by fishing it and just the knowledge of fishing it that, this is not a good wintertime spot. This is not a good spring spot.
Right. The experience after a while, you can start to pattern them. So if you fish from the bank and you have all these spots mapped out, if you do it for 2 years and you find patterns that remain pretty consistent, you can keep doing the same thing, repeat it over and over and over again, and it'll stay pretty consistent from year to year.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, that makes plenty of sense. So what about right now, this time of year? So you've got fish that are pre-spawn, spawn, got a few that are post-spawn from some of the reports that we're seeing. This time of year when you're fishing from the bank, are you targeting bedded fish? Or are you sight fishing, or are you just casting to the places that like you normally would?
I normally go around and I will go fan casting at spots and things like that. I don't really bed fish a whole lot. Like I was saying before last week in the comments, if it's not like a really, really big largemouth or a really big bass sitting on a bed, I mostly leave them alone. I don't really bother them because you'll sit there for 20, 30, 40 minutes trying to catch this bed fish when you could have been down the bank and catching the fish that's right out there in the middle of the lake.
Gotcha.
So I don't spend a whole lot of time messing with them unless they're over a certain size. But sometimes I will bed fish just to try to like educate myself on how they operate on that bed. Because what I found is that sometimes not only is every fish different, like some of them you'll walk up to them and they swim off right away. That fish you're probably not going to catch. Other ones, they'll sit there and they'll defend the bed, or they might leave, but they'll come back. And on certain areas of the bed, you can get the fish to react where they won't react to other parts of it. Like maybe you get closer to whatever spot it is on the bed that more of the eggs are at, you'll see that fish turn on it. But if you throw it to the edge of the bed, they just ignore you. Stuff like that. Just teaching myself how these fish react to baits they get dragged into the bed or not. Okay,
that's pretty interesting. What do you think?
I agree.
You agree?
Yeah.
You agree?
No argument.
No argument from you yet like that? How about when you actually jump in a boat with a guy, say you and Ryan go fishing tomorrow, how do you change your style once you get in a boat compared to having to do it from the bank?
The cool thing about fishing from a boat is that it opens up more. I have a lot more opportunity there. So I can throw stuff that I wouldn't normally be able to throw. Like I can drag a wobblehead jig, or I can fish like a deep diving crankbait, like a 30-foot diving crankbait, something like that. Or I can fish a spy bait, something like that.
Throw from the bank.
They are, yeah.
Those things are
they are hard to throw from the bank. Yeah, I can see that. So it opens up the tackle box more.
Yeah, it gives me more range of things that I can do. and more places where I can go. Plus, you know, you can fish. You can cover a lot more of the lake from a boat than you can from the bank.
Yeah, yeah.
But still, though, there's certain things that are in your favor bank fishing that the guys in boats don't necessarily get. Because one of the best ways to fish most of those baits that I named was the deep diving crankbait and the wobblehead and the football jig. But the best way to fish these baits is actually uphill, because you're maintaining bottom contact the entire retrieve instead of throwing a crankbait and it goes down there and you're hitting bottom for like 20 feet, 25 feet, and then it starts to track back upwards towards the boat. So
That's a good point. That's a good point.
certain stuff actually fishes a little bit better from the bank than they do from a boat anyway.
Where's the best spot on there for bank fishing? Yeah, I
A
mean,
lot of the public parks, I'd say.
really.
A lot of public parks. But you see, most of the people that fish from the bank, they're just throwing out 30 feet in front of them with a bobber, or they just use the same stuff all the time, a Texas rig, and either they get them or they don't. I'm more willing to move around and switch stuff up and match whatever it is that the fish are interested in that day. Like, I'll throw a lipless crankbait, and if they don't hit it, I'll rotate and use something else.
What's your number one go-to to start off with?
Probably going to be a lipless crankbait. On Lanier anyway. Because, I mean, that's a bait that you can take anywhere and use for anything. I don't care if it's freshwater, saltwater, pond, lake, river, whatever, and you will catch fish on it. Plus, you can cover an extreme amount of water in a short amount of time. I'll throw it on
That's
a
the big thing.
7.6 cranking
Covering
stick.
the water.
That's the big thing.
Yeah.
I'll use
Because he's got it. Because he has to fish it from the bank most of the time. He has to be able to eliminate baits and water quick.
Mhm.
Makes sense.
So
Makes
I'll
sense.
use like a big 7.6 medium heavy cranking stick, and I've got a Japanese DC bait caster with 12-pound fluorocarbon on it, and I will bomb that thing as far as I can get it, and I'll just yo-yo it back or burn it back, and I'll try to figure out what's going on down there before, you know, I make a change. And a lot of times I get a bite on that, or I get a few bites on that, and then I realize, okay, there's fish there, so now I can slow down and come back with a Texas rig or come back with a football jig, something like that.
Okay, what's your favorite lipless to throw?
It's kind of a toss-up between a Red Eye Shad by Strike King and a Lucky Crop LV500. It depends on what lake it's on. If I'm fishing a deep highland reservoir, like with a lot of clear water, like say Lanier or maybe even Carter's, if it's deep and clear, I'll go with something like that. But if fishing a shallow grassy lake, I'll go with the Red Eye Shad. It fishes shallow water better, and it flutters on the way down. I appreciate that about the bait, because the whole time it's in the water, you're fishing the bait. I can rip it up and let it go dead slack, and it's still moving.
I got you. What pound test you throw that on?
12.
12. You pretty much 12 across the board on most of your stuff.
12 across the board for crankbaits in particular. I use a different line size for everything. Every lure category I use, I match it to whatever the best gear is possible for it. Like, I'll throw a jerkbait on 10-pound fluoro, or I'll throw a Carolina rig on 14-pound Copali or fluoro, something like that. You know, I match it to whatever.
I see you nodding your head over there, Beasley. You in agreement?
Oh, I'm definitely.
Huh?
I'm definitely.
Are you listening and absorbing
Get
this?
yourself in the shot.
Yeah, come on, Beasley, get
what
out
you
there.
want?
There he is. He's actually
Oh,
asleep.
man.
He's had such a hard day of fishing.
I know, man.
Kurt Wehunt, my Lanier map, I highlighted the sunny south. Move that can right there for me if you don't mind. Facing shores. These are protected from the north wind, but not all are sunny, of course. Handy from January to May when the herring and the brim spawn like that. So I guess you keep in mind that same kind of stuff too. Hey, you know, I saw a lot of brim beds here last year. You kind of know that. Matching the hatch, so to speak, with your colors on your lipless. Let's just say what
You only need 5 colors for the list.
tough life, Beasley Low. Yeah, hey,
I do work. I did take the week off.
He's
though.
on
I'm
spring
lucky
break.
to do that.
We have to remember he's still a young kid.
Yeah.
So we have to
You
remember
just
that.
pronounce LOL like lol.
Me?
Oh,
Did I? Did I?
Yeah.
My
said
kid,
lol.
listen,
listen.
my kids make fun of me for that right there. So, like on the Strike King, though, let's just say you're going in, you're targeting the brim, but you're in a herring lake like that. I mean, what colors do you start off with on your lipless and stuff like that? Now?
With lipless crankbaits, I only use 5 colors.
Okay, and what are they?
There's a chrome and blue. That one's all standby. You got to have a chrome and blue lipless. If you don't have one, I don't know what's wrong with you. You got to have a chrome and blue.
There you go.
I don't care where you're at. Chrome and blue gets bit. Chrome and blue, sexy shad. That opaque color was really built on those cloudy days. I use a fire tiger I like a bleeding fire tiger. Actually, I like a little bit of red in it. So I use chrome blue, sexy shad, bleeding fire tiger, and a gold sexy shad.
Okay.
That gold does really well around the brim beds. Then that one I like to use more in the springtime, especially post spawn around those bedding bluegill. You can chuck that one up pretty shallow, and you can burn it back right over the tops of those bluegill beds, even if it's only like 10 inches deep.
Mhm.
I can still get away with it, especially with that longer rod if I just keep the rod tip up. And the last one I use is red, like those red craw patterns, Delta craw, chili craw.
Like that early spring stuff like that. Okay,
Yeah.
late winter.
Any ghost minnow?
I don't really mess with ghost minnow that much in the red eye shad, but I will on Lanier and the LV500.
Yeah, that's
That
what I
clear
was
stuff,
saying.
I'll throw that.
Yeah, that's home for me.
That live thread fin is good too.
Is that what you like to throw? That's home?
Yeah.
Lanier or that sex or the pattern that he's talking about, or that you're
Yeah,
talking about?
I'm
the
on
ghost?
Lanier, LV500, ghost minnow, all that stuff.
Okay.
I mean, there's a lot of colors. I mean, Lucky Craft makes a lot of colors.
American
That's
Shad's
a
good.
good. Yep.
But you like that one.
Yep.
That
And the
goes-
American Shad, the one with the little flashy sides.
Yeah, American Shad has the. I actually got it with me. I can show it to you.
We'll let them two have the show.
But
Talk
American
about it. There
Shad's a
you
really good color. I actually got all of this stuff to.
go. Yeah, bring it out.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
He brings every time he comes up here, he brings his tackle. That
Yeah.
the man does.
Another one that's kind of overlooked in favor of the LV500 is the Jackal TN series.
Yep.
Those ones are really good because they stand up straight on the bottom because they have that tungsten lip in the front, and they do really good at bottom hopping. That's a kind of an overlooked way to fish a lipless crankbait too, because people they're afraid of snagging so much that they won't do it. But you know, if you got a fairly clean bottom, you can get away with it.
Yeah,
but that's the American Shad
yeah.
color.
Yep, there you go.
By Lucky Craft. It's got those really bright flashy scales on it. It's like a super flashy color. So I like that in clear water on sunny days.
I like that in
And,
the pointer. That's really good.
While you're looking at that, I'm going to ask you this question from Bassmaster Jim. What is your bait of choice in the summer when it's stained for topwater spotted bass?
Summertime stained top water, probably a buzzbait.
Yeah.
Ah, there you go. What about you, Ryan?
Same thing.
Same thing, buzzbait. Now,
I throw other things though.
you do throw other things. I've been with you, but you do like buzzbaits. You like your buzzbaits. What about you, Beazle? Stained
Top
water.
water stain. I've never been in this situation, so I mean.
Well, that's what you're on.
I mean, I'm literally. I'm
But they're
I'm just
homemade.
being straight up with you. I mean,
Whopper, plopper.
Plopper. So there's my bleeding chrome and blue.
There you go. So yeah.
That's
That's
my
a nice one.
all-time favorite. If I could only have one, is this one, bleeding
Really?
chrome and blue.
Okay.
So that's that one. I'll throw a sexy shad, which sort of looks like this one by Lucky Craft, but this is live thread fin by
love that.
Lucky Craft and the LB500. You can't really see that one that good, but
Yeah,
hey,
get a little too bright.
it's
right
white.
there.
it's white. A white base lure works really good on cloudy days.
Yep.
Bleeding fire tiger looks like this.
Yep,
Lots of
that's
chartreuse and yellow with some red in it.
yep, that's your standard.
That one's pretty good. I use a fire craw. Fire craw, I mean, ever since the jackhammer fire craw craze took off, all these companies are even making their heart baits in it.
Yeah.
So they've got that one. Fire craw. It's got almost sort of a green pumpkin back instead of a black back. It's got that orange and red going on.
Very
that crawfish
similar to
pattern.
some of the rock crawler patterns that are out there like that.
Mhm.
Anyone tried the Strike King skipping buzz?
I never have.
No, that's a fairly new one. I haven't messed with it yet.
I haven't thrown that one either. So if you're in the comment section and you've actually throwed that, please list it in your comments there for Kurt right there. So I don't know. But now you said you've never been in that situation because Lanier and you
Yeah,
fish
I'm
the south
mostly-
end of
I'm mostly
Lanier a
clear,
lot.
yeah.
So you're in clear. But
And
like
when I'm staying, it's usually largemouth. I mean,
right,
I'm usually just not throwing topwater in that scenario for the most part.
that's true. But
I
like
feel like that's definitely like Coosa River kind of spotted bass fishing.
I guess so. Yeah, I mean,
I mean,
what are you laughing at?
oh my goodness.
How about but like Alatoona and stuff like that gets pretty stained up.
Alatoona
does
gets
it?
dirty.
It is very
Oh.
dirty.
Alatoona can get dirty.
It can, and I hope it's clear.
Dirty
But
right now.
is it dirty
Probably
right
is.
now?
The creeks are probably dirty.
Yeah, I heard
I
Alan
went
Pruitt.
down, dug out yesterday and drove over Little River and it was mud.
Yeah, actually,
it wasn't stained. It was mud.
yeah, Alan Pruitt hit me up and said, or it was on our Facebook group page. Somebody was talking about it. He said, coming over, whatever part of Alatoona he drove, he said it was just blowed out. It was blowed. But Alatoona is a fairly shallow lake that happens. Got a lot of water moving in and out. But if you're on a lake like Alatoona, You're gonna stick with the buzz bait and stained water.
Yeah, I probably will. But see, on Alatoona, the forage is a little bit smaller. They've only got these like little 2-inch threadfin shad versus Lanier that has these giant 5 and 6 inch blueback herring.
Mhm.
So I'll go over there and I'll downsize and throw like a little small 1/8 ounce buzz bait. There's one made by Strike King. It's called Mini Buzz or Mini King or something like that. It was a little 1/8 ounce white buzz bait. And you can get that from I think Walmart has some.
Okay.
You can just go right over there and get some of those. I do modifications to my buzz baits. I never fish them straight out the package, but you can take that thing and just run the banks on Alatoona or wherever there's like these little bait fish at. Even if you got a little farm pond somewhere and just eating these little bluegills, you can take that those places and catch fish, even when those larger buzz baits don't work.
Don't work right there. So
See, that's when I'm home with the spinnerbait. That's when I
you-
really like. I mean, I guess that's why I haven't fished topwater in that scenarios because I'm just always
You're gonna choose a
spinnerbait locked
spinnerbait.
in the hand.
Well,
You can use a spinnerbait as a topwater too.
Yeah, true.
You can.
Burning it. I do. That is pretty
Brian's
fun.
comment, dude, the water in Canton is chocolate milk, which of course everybody
Yeah.
knows that's Etowah, and it feeds into Alatoona, and I do not doubt it. We've got a lot of rain here in North Georgia this week. If you couldn't fish, let's take that question one step further. If you could not fish a buzzbait, let's say for some reason you left it at home, what would be your number 2 choice in stained water for spots now?
Stained water, spotted bass. I would probably take a.
Hey, Tim, Braves are losing. Season's over. All right, it's done.
I'll throw a walking bait, but it'll be very loud and it'll be dark. There's one made by 13 called a dual pitch, and I have mine in a jet black color in the bigger size. I didn't think too much of it at first, but in stained water, it actually works pretty well. And that it has these 2 loud knockers in it, and it will actually call fish from a ways away. Like I've thrown it like dirt shallow on the bank, and I've seen a wake come down the bank to get it before.
Just hearing that, they react to that splash, that knocking and all that.
Yep.
So, yeah, no,
Old
definitely,
colors
I can
easy
see
to
that. And I would imagine, because you don't, I know we talked about Lanier a lot, but that's not your primary lake. I mean, you're more down towards Alatoona and places like that, or in some of the rivers and streams that way. So you probably encounter stained water a lot more than normal. So you've got to be able to do that. All right, give me one more bait for stained water.
Stained water, top water?
Top water, yeah.
Stained water, topwater bait, other than a buzz bait and a walking bait, I throw a popper. Because a popper, when the fish are not aggressive enough to chase down a walking bait or chase down a buzz bait, they will hit poppers as long as you let them sit. You can pop it, chug it 2 or 3 times, and just let it sit next to that blowdown or next to that dock or next to just whatever's sticking out from the bank. And you can let it sit there, and those fish will actually come up there and hit it. Sometimes you might have to pause it for longer. If, say, there's no wind and they're just really sluggish that day, you can chug it a couple times and let it sit. Sometimes I'll let it sit for like 10, 15 seconds, and you'll just see them barely come up and kiss it, and just get that last little treble hook in their throat.
So pretty much, so you are using sound as much as anything in stained water for that. So I think that would be, but again, we don't experience that a lot, at least on the south end of Lanier, stained water like that.
See, the thing with Lanier
And
is
the
that the
creeks.
water's so clear they can see everything, whereas with these stained water lakes, you have to help them find it sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to play on their other senses. I have to use scent sometimes.
But don't you
sometimes-
think that the opposite could be true, that in a clear water lake, sometimes them being able to see it is not as good because they can kind of tell what it is and all
Yeah,
that.
that's for sure.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Especially on days where there's no wind and it's just high sun, and they can see a whole lot better.
Well, what would you on that day? Would you go more to a translucent type color? I mean, I've even seen the jet clear spooks. It's just clear plastic stuff like that.
We got lucky with the Lanier spots as far as like clear water goes, because blueback herring actually like the sun, whereas shad don't. Shad will go deep. When the sun is out and there's no wind, shad will go deeper. And it's the opposite with the blueback herring. They'll actually come up in the water column. So I can get away with fishing in the top water. I just fish it clear, or I'll fish it in chrome, and I'll fish it fast as I can. I don't want them to get a good look at it. I will burn it past that school, and I will work that bait so fast.
Okay.
And you can get those fish to come up and hit that. Because if they get too good to look at it, they're going to turn off.
I'm just because it's going to come up because we're talking
Yeah.
top water a little bit. What's your opinions on the whopper plopper?
Water flopper catches fish. I have like 12 of them. I don't fish them anymore, really. I only got on it because it was trendy, and I was like, let's see what
Trendy,
this is
there you
about.
go.
I played with it. I caught like a 5 or 6 pounder on it on the 130 size. That was cool. I had a lot of fish eat that whopper plopper, especially the 90 size. 90 size is probably the best one to get.
What is the size that you said I was throwing? It was too small.
You were talking about old 75.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 75 is
Well,
short.
I could not get bit on that thing at all. That's one of the things I hated about it. But I haven't thrown on the big ones. You got a favorite brand of whopper plopper? I know they got the Chopo. They got whatever.
I use the original.
Just use the original.
I use the original. But
Okay.
I mean, I don't hardly fish them.
River to sea. I got you. Okay. All right. So we'll do that. So thank you for that question up there. I believe it was Bassmaster Jim that got us on that topic right there. That's a good topic because it won't be long for topwater season. I mean, you can catch them right now on some topwater in certain spots. It is actually.
You've been
here.
able to.
Yeah, you've been able to. But I know that 130 or bust. There you go, the big ones. Ain't no telling what you'll catch on that joker.
To be honest,
the bank fishing thing though, something else that y'all can do if you're a bank fisherman, you don't have access to a boat. You can download the Navionics app on your phone.
Yeah.
If you download Navionics, it's basically where the government goes out and they map all these rivers, lakes, and parts of the ocean, stuff like that. And you can find a lot of those features on the map that I was talking about, and you can highlight them on your phone. And so I use that a lot of times when I go boat fishing with guys. They'll tell me what ramp they want to go out of, and I'll just go on my phone and look at whatever fish attracting features are near that ramp they want to go out of. And I'd be like, well, there should be some fish here. There should be some fish there. They go over there and look at it with side scan, down scan, whatever. And I'm like, oh, there's some. You just
Right.
right on them. I've got like 700 something marks on Lanier alone.
Yep.
On my phone. So
looks about right.
for $15, it's worth it.
Right.
Is that it?
$15 for like a yearly subscription?
Oh my goodness.
For
That's
Navionics
actually
or
awesome.
I'm not even going to answer that comment right there, Kurt. That's right. I'm not used to
Oh,
throwing
my
a big
goodness.
one. Listen at you. There you go. What is your favorite area to fish on Lake Lanier right now?
I like the north end.
And why is that?
I like the north end better than the south end because it has more stuff that you can fish from the bank successfully. Whereas the south end, I feel like it's a lot deeper, a lot faster.
Yep.
It's
Yeah,
almost
that's about right.
almost
I mean,
kind of like a bowl. Whereas on the north end, I have more features that are a little bit shallower, and I can do more stuff up there from the bank versus fishing the south end from the bank. And a lot of those parks and a lot of those campsites and things like that up there, they actually have some pretty good stuff right next to them, like around Little Hall. That's
Right.
a good area where everybody takes their boats out for tournaments and stuff like that. There's some actually good spots that are right there.
yeah,
That big rocky point off the end of it.
Yeah, it's right there.
I've caught so many fish sitting right there. I've got-
I have. Yes, there is some. There's some very good on up into that back towards the road a little bit like
Well,
that.
you get dropped off right there, and you're like, "Oh, I'll just drop the troll motor real quick," and you're like, "Oh, there they are." Just
Yeah,
Well,
they're right there.
A lot of people do that.
Yeah,
They're right
literally.
there.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's a lot of brush right in there.
Yeah.
I mean, you think? I mean, they just dump in from tournaments, and they can just go and collect.
Is Ryan asleep? That's the question.
Yep,
He's actually
he is
listening.
asleep. He's snoring.
Listening.
I heard
He
him
is
snoring.
listening. He is listening.
listening.
We are absorbing tonight.
He's waiting.
He's waiting
Waiting.
for that. dirt
Waiting.
moment.
No, ain't
There is
No
no
dirt
dirt.
There
moment.
ain't no dirt. There ain't gonna be no dirt moment.
No in the dirt.
There won't be a dirt moment tonight.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
Oh,
that was
that's
awesome.
sad, dude.
That was awesome.
Yeah,
That was such
well,
a good
it
time.
That
was-
was the greatest story of all time.
That was
That was the greatest
awesome.
story ever.
It was one for the ages.
I was
will say
crying
that.
back there.
It was. And but again, we're going to try to stay on topic a little bit like that. So but I'll tell you what, how about this? We're still talking about Lanier a lot, but Alatoona in your approach.
Mhm.
I know you're probably still marking the same things, you're probably still looking at the same map, same features and all that. Of the two lakes, which lake is easier to go catch fish from the bank?
Mm.
The easier lake to go catch fish from the bank is Alatoona because you can go out there and throw anything and they'll be on it. It doesn't really matter what you throw.
That
in
is
there.
true, yeah.
They don't care. Those
Al-
Alatoona fish don't care. They're
Alatoona with a Ned rig is a horrible thing.
I tell everybody, and this is going to sound bad because I am not the world's greatest angler, but if you can't catch fish on Alatoona, I don't know
Literally.
if you can catch fish anywhere.
Like, there's a bank.
Those spots
Never
over
rig
there,
10
those
feet of water.
12 and 14-inch spots on
they
Alatoona,
don't care.
they're the most
ridiculous.
aggressive fish anywhere.
Right.
As far as just, hey, let's throw a hook out there.
Mhm.
They're going to hit it. Hey, there's
Yeah.
something shiny. Boom, let's hit it.
Yeah.
But you do a lot of river fishing too.
Yeah, I go everywhere.
So how do you get bank access to rivers?
You got to do a lot of looking. You got to do a lot of looking. But there's different parks and stuff on the Chattahoochee, and there's trails that go all over the place or along different rivers. You can find all kinds of.
Do you ever approach homeowners and say, "Hey, can I fish behind your house?" Stuff like that.
I have not. I haven't had to.
Okay, all right.
Because there's so many places there that give you access to places that are further down the river or further up the river than other people are willing to travel. So you're gonna have to be doing some walking first of all. You're gonna have to do some looking, but there's actually pretty good bass fishing in the rivers around here. People kind of ignore that because we've got the big lakes, we've got Lanier, we've got Alatoona, we've got Carter's, all that kind of stuff. But if you you can catch some pretty good bass just flipping and pitching at laydowns and stuff on the Chattahoochee.
Ain't that right, Paul?
Huh?
Ain't that right?
Sure.
Sure. There you go. There you go.
Paul's trying to keep secrets.
Paul's trying to
like,
keep
yeah, I
secrets.
guess so.
Oh, everybody.
There
Paul
might-
don't got no secrets.
there
Paul
might-
Paul spots are the most public places ever.
Oh, that woke Beasley up. Huh?
Oh.
Yeah. Listen, are you,
Man,
Wow.
man, all those pressure fish.
let me ask you this. Do you, and I'm
And
not,
did we catch him?
Bad Ridge Creek.
do you have a kayak?
Okay, shut up.
I used to, but I got rid of it because there wasn't any place to keep it. Okay, but I'm gonna get another one. I had about a 10-foot kayak and I fished around out of that, but I got rid of it first of all because I didn't have anywhere to put it, but also because I want a little bit bigger one. I'm gonna get one that's like 11.5, maybe 12 foot, something like that. Put a little hummingbird on it that does some side scan and stuff like that. I'll put one on there.
Yeah. So, all right. So let's right now we're talking about finding the bedfish, stuff like that, and you kind of you kind of shy away from that and stuff like that. Let's say you're going to go fish for just largemouth, just largemouth.
I prefer to do that actually.
You prefer to fish that over spots,
Yeah, mostly because of the size difference.
okay? And so, how is your approach different?
The approach is different when I go for largemouth versus spots because I use some things that are slower. First of all, like I'll go drag a 10-inch worm and look for largemouth. I wouldn't do that for spots normally. But also I'll fish more cover versus open water stuff. I won't go to a hump in the middle of the lake in 40 feet water looking for a largemouth like that. I'll go up into the back of a pocket somewhere and I'll go flip laydowns or I'll go fish docks or something like that.
Okay.
And I normally use darker colors for largemouth versus spotted bass too. Like I'll throw June bug or I'll throw black and blue or something like that. Meanwhile, I'll go on the main lake and fish for spotted bass like a green pumpkin or a morning dawn, something like that.
I got you. Okay. All right. That's interesting. Josh Tatum, you, sir, will be with me on the river with me and Paul this year like that. So we'll try to get you there.
Sounds like an invite.
I think it's an
I'm
invite.
down.
I definitely think it's an invite. No, taco night. Yeah, they still on taco night. Yeah, LJ out in the comments now. Yeah, so Thursday nights generally they're taco night. So right about now, they're probably wrapping up. So he usually shows up about 9 o'clock. So when he is awake and getting up in there. You mentioned earlier, Dan. I want to jump on this because you were fishing today for white bass.
Yep.
Okay. So where were you fishing for those at?
I was just at a public park that's connected to Lake Alatoona. Little river comes out of there, and you can sit there on the bank about every springtime and catch stripers and white bass hybrids as they make their way up to spawn. I believe when you had Shan O'Gorman come on here, I think that we talked about the. I think that he had spoke about the striped bass spawn a little bit. I think he said that they need 2 miles or 10 miles or something like that of running water to get their eggs to hatch. So they go out there every year, and if you time it right, you can just sit there and whack them. You normally have to be there about, well, they're low light feeders, so you got to be there either early or late in the day. But if you get there and you time it right, you can sit there and get 40, 50, 60 fish. There's nothing to do that in that area, and you get to do it with some pretty light tackle too, because like I was saying, out of Alatoona, they eat these little bitty bait fish all the time, so you can get away with like a beetle spin or a rooster tail or a teeny little crankbait or something like that. You can
To catch stripers.
Yeah, to catch stripers. And walk up and down the bank and catch these fish.
What about the white bass? What are you catching them on? Same thing?
Same stuff.
Same stuff?
They're all pretty similar in their behavior and what they eat.
Mm-hmm.
So you can get away with all the same stuff. If I want to target more stripers and hybrids instead of white bass, I will upsize though. Like I'll throw a big jerk bait or something like that, or maybe even a bucktail. I'll get away with using stuff like that versus little white bass where I'm using rooster tails and things like that, but and little curly tail grubs. But they're all in the same spots and they're all doing kind of the same stuff. So
Gotcha.
it's easy to just adapt from one person to the other.
How long does that run last?
If I was gonna tell somebody who wanted to go for it right now, I would say you probably got to the end of April to get the rest of the stragglers. They normally start as early as late February, depending on the water temperatures and the weather. But they'll go well into April, so they've probably got a few more weeks for it to be really good. Then they'll start to see it taper off as we get closer to May.
Okay. One of the things that's funny, you mentioned water. Upstairs, we were talking before we came on there. We were talking about water temps, and this year, even though we're seeing fish on bed now, actually some reports of some coming off the bed now, but we were talking about how the water temp is actually kind of cold, for what we normally see. So with that, I'm going to throw this out there and just, you may have an opinion on it, you may not. Water temperature as opposed to like length of days and moon phase and stuff like that. Which one do you think it affects them more?
I'm going with the length of day and the moon phase because they'll relate more to that versus just purely going off of water temperature.
See, I think that too, because I bring that in over from deer hunting, because the bucks rut pretty much at the same time every year, within pretty close. The deer rut, equate that to the spawn of fish, but they do it the same time every year, where the temperature is different every year.
Mm-hmm.
But it's generally, you can almost pencil in.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the scientists say that's length of days, the moon phase, stuff like that, and they know. So you're saying you think fish relate to that more as well, length of days and stuff like that. Something built into them says, hey, it's time.
They'll go for that. They'll go for that more based off of the moon phase and the length of day versus the water temperature. I think also because
I'm sure water temp affects it some, but yeah,
of course.
absolutely.
Because some eggs they don't hatch until the water's not a certain temperature or something like that. So they kind of have to time it right. Fish don't spawn at an exact temperature. I think that's kind of like a misnomer. They spawn at a range of temperatures. Like they'll spawn between here and here, but there's no dead set like, oh, it's 65. All the bass are in bed right now.
What do you think, Ryan? Is what people the lay of the land? Most people think bass go in bed at what temperature? Just what the guy that doesn't have all the knowledge.
Most everybody thinks it's around 60.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've seen very few water temps on any lake I've been, even Lanier, that has gotten to 60 degrees so far this year.
Yeah.
What did y'all see this weekend?
Today was warm and it was 58 at the end of the day. When I got off at like 5.
We're not going to see on any of these lakes or rivers anything around here. We're not going to see temperatures spike over 60 until the nights don't drop that down to the low 40s every night.
Right.
Because at night, in springtime, with this muddy or stainer water, I'm not going to speak for everyone by no means on this, but I think a lot of people kind of overlook the fact that I think a lot of people stumble over stained water in spring. Stained water in the spring can either help you or hinder you. Mm-hmm. And it really depends upon kind of what's going on and kind of where the weather's running at the time. If you've got stained water and it's getting up into 70 degrees every day, but then at night, at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, you look at the temperature, wake up, go use the bathroom, and you look at the temperature on your phone and it says 46 degrees.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's dropping the surface temperature back down again. So, we're not really going to see on any of these lakes or rivers, anything around here in North Georgia, primarily, it stay above 60
for a while
until we get some. Because, look at this weekend.
I know.
This weekend's not going to help. This weekend's not going to help anything.
It's going to be awesome.
You seen the weather for this weekend?
Yeah, it's not going to be too nice.
No,
but
cold.
I will say, though, as far as the warming trend goes, I would stay looking in the backs of the creeks with all that stained water first. So that's going to be the first thing.
Well, that's one thing. That's one thing that Ryan has stressed to people, that stained water heats up faster than clear water.
Mm-hmm. It does.
It does, and that's just a fact.
It does.
That's just nature.
Light can't penetrate through stained water, so the only thing that light can do and heat and sun can do to stained water is absorb.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can't do anything else. It's like putting a lamp on a black curtain.
Yep.
If you put a lamp straight on a black curtain and you touch over here in the corner where the light is, it's cooler, but then you go right over there where a light's been shining on it for 2 hours, it's warmer.
Yeah. I'm gonna get to your question real quick here, Bassmaster, in a second, but I want to hit this comment by George Smith. right down at the bottom. He fished Hartwell last week, and it was 61, 62.
That's warm.
That is warm, but what we found, it's like if you
That's
watch,
'cause of kiwi.
yeah, and
Oh,
there's
this
different
Kiwi
factors.
pumping them.
Mm-hmm.
So Kiwi's dumping that water into that
Mm-hmm.
and warming it up.
Because kiwi's a hydro, or
Well,
nuclear lake. Or
Oh,
whatever you wanna
okay.
So it's
call
one of
it.
those like little.
Oh, really?
It's
Okay.
got-
All
It
right.
stays
Warm water
warmer.
discharge.
Where's the
Yeah.
plant?
Yeah.
Warm water discharge.
Where's the plane on it?
It's up one of the rivers. I can't
Oh,
remember
really?
which one it is.
Okay, well, that
Yeah.
might have something to do with
Yeah.
it then right there.
I was about to
That's
say
actually a
because
good spot though. You know, fish will actually winter over in those warm water discharges.
Oh,
They'll
absolutely.
sit there
For
and spend the
sure.
whole winter there. Everybody's freezing to death.
For
But
sure.
that water might still be in the 60s.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to jump on this question just because it's out here. Who is the best bass fisherman on Lake Lanier? Now, it can be a touchy subject with a lot of
I
people,
wouldn't
not
know.
so much for me.
I got some suggestions though.
Give me your suggestions. And then
Derek White.
Derek White.
Derek knows how to fish. I've been on the boat with Derek. That man knows how to fish.
Does he know how to fish?
That man can fish his tail off. It don't matter where you put him at or what species you put in front of him. He's going to catch him. He's like me with a boat.
Okay, well, there you go.
That
All
guy.
right, there you
That
go.
guy can fish.
That guy
If I
can
had a
fish.
boat, I'd be that guy.
You'd be that guy. There you go. All right. Well, his name pops up a lot. What about you, Beazle?
I mean, there's always Paul Jr. I mean, of course.
For the young guys, yeah.
I mean, Derek White, of course. You used to always see him up there.
Yeah.
I like how he fishes. I like his thoughts on the fluke. I agree with a lot of the stuff.
Those
I always hear about what Mark Harden, Paul Sr., of course.
some of the old school guys.
Yep. And a bunch of people in and out. I mean, everybody has their times when they go off. Like, who are those boys in the winter that just like for a month just
Tyler Meyer.
Yeah.
Adam Waller.
yeah.
They got hot.
Yeah, I mean that's hard to
I
do.
would say-
They're
I
really
think
good.
Jimbo's in there too, though.
Yeah, Jimbo.
Yeah, no,
can
Jimbo's in there.
in his thing. I tell you what, I
guys.
would throw out there. I'll throw a name out there that I don't know if he's the best, but he's one of the most consistent ones. That's Grizzle. Don't you think? In his time of the years and stuff, he's very consistent.
He has his times of the year.
He's
where
very
he's hard to
consistent.
beat.
Yeah, so that's a tough question to answer. Whoever's catching the fish, whoever's
Yeah,
catching the
true,
fish at
true.
the time is the best bass angler on Lake Lanier. And there's every lake's got that group.
Yep.
Alatoona's got a group. Carter's, Barday.
That's all I
Hey,
hear.
listen, he's one of the most consistent ones on there. So, how about
I
this?
still can't believe we can't get him on this.
Barday, he's camera shy. And,
Just to talk fishing a little.
well, right now he's doing the Thursday nighters on Alatoona. That's why them boys aren't in the comments anymore. So once them Thursday nighters, the Noe Thursday nighters slow down, he'll jump back on. Does dirty water cool off faster than clean water during these cold nights? I don't know.
I think that the dirty water retains heat a little bit better.
To an extent, yeah.
I
To
feel
a
like
certain extent.
by the
He's right to a certain extent. Yeah.
yeah,
If you got muddy water that's moving though,
yeah,
Yeah, moving water doesn't. Yeah,
stagnant stained water, it won't drop that. It won't drop like that. It'll retain more heat. But the upper end of Alatoona, the upper ends of Lanier, both river arms, that's where you're seeing this up and down, up and down.
because it heats up so much.
It heats up and then it cools back off because the water. Because we've had so much rain,
Mm-hmm.
so it's naturally just pushing more current down both river arms on Lanier, and the same thing with like Alatoona. I don't know how well the water was moving where you was today up that way, but I'm assuming it was probably moving pretty good for where you were at.
It wasn't moving as fast as I've seen it.
Really.
It was still manageable.
You could still see the water moving though. It wasn't. It
Yeah,
wasn't.
it had
sitting
the current.
still.
The current was moving.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
It came up and it moved a little bit faster than how it normally does.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like rushing.
Yeah.
This is just a question that's popped into my mind. I don't know why. Have you ever fished behind the dam at Carter's re-reg?
Yep,
I have
That
not.
little section right there.
Yep.
You have fished it?
yep.
We were coming back from Tennessee and we came back the back way.
Yep.
And I passed it and I noticed a bunch of people out there fishing. It's your typical tail race and all that.
Yep.
But what were you fishing for when you did that?
I mean,
Just
there's
'cause we were
always
talking about
striper up
current.
there, spot. I mean, this is all that stuff. I mean, just kind of your normal tailwater kind of thing.
Okay. I just,
That was before I ever had the boat or anything. We used to fish the re-reg a lot,
Mhm.
and we used to put in. My favorite thing to do on that lake is go up the river up there. Bunch of gizzard shad get up in there, especially in the fall. That's a fun bite.
Okay.
And not a lot of people know about that. You can, because we used to kayak all the way up until we couldn't kayak, and like just in the really shallow rapids, and then start wading up into those pools. And gizzards would collect in those pools, and you get off fun bites.
I got you.
Current changes everything.
Buddha, how are you, buddy? Good to see you tonight.
Oh me.
I don't know if you're the Facebook user that said "What's up, dudes," but if you are watching on Facebook, go to streamyard.com/Facebook. Enter your name in so it comes up as your name instead of Facebook user. So fishing with Farmer Bees, be quiet right there. So evidently you just dropped a good spot.
I mean, it's fun. I mean, it's not like you're going to fish a tournament there.
They were talking current.
Yeah.
And I just remember from passing that this week and saw that, and just curious if any of y'all had ever fished that, because it's everybody was fishing from the bank there, of course, because it was just coming out of the dam right there.
The one thing I will say this, Jeremiah can chime in on that, on whatever, on this. The one thing about it is the fish that live in moving water, they're pretty apt to it.
Yeah.
So as far as them getting punched in the mouth or going crazy, both ends of the spectrum, if they live in that water, it's just another day for them, and day in their life cycle. They're going to eat, sleep, or they'll sleep. They're going to eat, swim, and
that's just their life,
and that's just their life, and they choose to live their life in moving water, So, and that's all species of them.
I think so
completely.
But I will say this, and we noticed this, and y'all can chime in on this. We fished up at Brushy Branch in some tournaments, and once you got out in the Coosa, when they generate from Alatoona, it takes the current a while to get all the way up that far up towards Rome and stuff like that. But you can almost, some of the guys that know when the water's coming out of Alatoona, they can time it, because when that current from the dam makes it there, those fish kick on like that.
Right.
Yeah, because I remember Chris Gayton talking about they didn't get a bite, but all of a sudden they could tell the current was kicking up a little bit, and those fish turned on.
Oh, that's good.
So it's kind of like they do know, that they can tell.
They can tell for sure. But the thing that I noticed with river fish is that they're almost like completely different fish. I mean, you catch a largemouth out of the river, he's more long and lean. You get one out of the lake, he's short and fat. And the fish in the lakes are just like a lot more lazy. The ones that are in the rivers, they're just constantly fighting the current all the time. They're sitting behind boulders and sitting behind whatever current rates they can get behind.
Yeah.
And they're a lot more aggressive to it. They seem to fight a little bit harder than me too, because they're just constantly fighting the current all the time.
Right.
And depending on the species, though, there are certain species of fish that are comfortable in the current, like say a striper or say a brown trout or something like that. They'll deal with the current a little bit more than other fish, but there are some fish that do their best to avoid it. Like you'll find you can fish like right dead in the middle of the current and still catch them.
Yeah, that's several good comments. River fish are about to fill up on a treadmill with food coming
shoal
to
bass
them.
are awesome.
Yeah,
or like shoal bass,
shoal bass,
they're comfortable.
Awesome.
Shoal bass don't care. They will sit right in the middle of the current, right behind just a
absolutely
mid river. They'll be fun.
I wonder if a shoal bass would even thrive in a lake. I mean, they're built for. I mean, that fish, that's a current fish.
True.
Right.
I mean, that is a current fish. That's why those Tennessee river fish are so mean. Etowah and Coosa, striper and cats too. Yeah. So the Etowah. Yeah. I mean, seriously, it's a different one. Let's see. I'm reading some of the comments. I love river fishing. A 2-pound spot will feel like a 5-pound largemouth in a lake.
I agree with that.
But I also think the different species of spots too, because Alatoona's got a different species of spot.
Isn't it like those Coosa? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The Coosa. That's why Alatoona fish. I mean, that's honestly what. Which one's got the Kentucky?
The Kentucky.
And which one?
Is that why there's so many small ones?
I always get it back. I always get it messed up.
Alatoona has the little Kentuckies.
I never even knew.
So like the Kentucky spot versus the Alabama spot. Yeah,
the Alabama spot or the Coosa spot, whatever.
Yeah. So that's one. That's one, and then the Kentucky's the other one.
Yeah, the Kentucky's don't get nowhere.
Yeah, Kentucky's a little small ones.
Like if you catch a 2.5 pound Kentucky, it's like equivalent to catching like a 5-6 pound.
Well, how do you tell the difference? How do you tell the difference in the two? They're just
scientists.
They're built different. I am built different.
I will say this: I'm no biologist. I cannot claim to tell you the difference in them. other than their size.
Yeah.
Kind
If it's 5 pounds, it's probably not
almost like the
Kentucky.
difference between a Florida strain and a northern strain.
Yep,
Largemouth.
true.
I've been told by biologists that you need a microscope to look at the scales and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, I will say this: when we did the podcast with Henry Cowan, and I've said this several times, and you guys can debate this. He said if you took, we're talking about the differences in spots. No, he said if you took a 5 pound spot out of Lake Alatoona and tied him to a 5 pound spot from Lake Lanier, that Lake Alatoona spot would drag him all over the lake.
Really?
He just said they're mean or different. Now, that was his statement. I don't know which one has which. But I know if you go back and watch the podcast with Henry Cowan, that statement is made. Yeah, he said, because he fishes both, and he says that the ones on Lanier get bigger, of course, but he says there's just something different about the Alatoona spots that are just meaner. And don't ask me. I'm not a biologist. I do not know. Maybe we'll get one on here that can explain it.
They're smaller fish generally, so they've got to be aggressive and they've got to be mean, or they're going to starve to death.
Yeah, especially with how many of them there are, all that competition.
So Farmer says that
Farmer
says that they got both Kentucky and Coosa spots.
I don't know the difference.
I don't know the difference.
I've just heard Coosa before.
Did you tell the difference?
That would make sense.
No, I think you need like a microscope.
Yeah, I mean,
it doesn't matter.
Genetically different. You can't look at them and tell.
Yeah.
I would say this. So, the 7.6 pound largemouth that Alex Green caught in the Chattahoochee had a thick body, and that was in the trout section. I will say this though, that from what river fishing I have done, which is not a ton, or high current, I have found that the bass were skinnier.
Yeah, I see that too.
Now I might be totally wrong, and maybe it's just I caught skinny bass that day. I don't know, but I don't know. Y'all should look up the Shoal Bandit on YouTube.
Dude.
Guy's a genius and explains the difference in the Kentucky spots and the Baja spots in one of his videos. I'll have to look it up like that because I'll be honest, I don't know.
I have no
Shoal
idea.
Bandit has those bass species down to a science. He'll break it down all the way to differences between even just different strains of fish that look almost exactly the same. He'll be able to tell them.
And what is that? What is that again
Have you
now?
met him?
I have not met him personally, but the guy knows what he's talking about, though. I've talked to him a little bit. He knows.
I definitely need to check into that because that's one thing that I am ignorant of is the different species and stuff like that. So, but it's hell, I don't care as long as they bite.
Yeah, that's what I'm
looking
saying.
for. I'm looking for the one that bites. I don't really care which one, but that is interesting.
Whatever the big five are.
When is the best time to throw a topwater popper?
Ooh.
And what are the best baits to throw?
That's right up my alley.
Fun.
Right up my alley.
Well,
the best time to throw a topwater popper, I would say, really, you could throw it in March. I just wouldn't. I like to reaction bait fish a little bit more in March, like I like to throw my chatterbaits and spinnerbaits and stuff like that. But really, topwater fishing takes off. For me, it gets really, really good from about post spawn all the way up into. It depends, just as long as it stays warm.
Yeah.
As long as it stays warm. I mean, I was catching topwater fish in December last year.
It was a little warmer, yeah.
Yeah. So really, ideally though, from about late April into about October is when I do most of my topwater fishing, and I put my I fish more poppers there too. But the best ones to throw, you probably won't want them because I spend a crap ton of money on high-end Japanese poppers like the Rico. I love the Rico. I love the Rico. It's what, 20, 25 bucks, something like that. Yeah, it's 25 bucks for that popper, but it's worth every dime.
It is.
The Rico.
Why?
It walks
the Rico
really well.
does stuff that other poppers will not do. Those high-end Japanese baits, they got a leg up on all the other American baits for the most part because they're just they're so much more advanced than stuff that we have over here, and they have better hardware and everything right out of the box. But also the sound that a Rico makes, it sounds just like a bluegill popping.
It's
if
really
you do it
nice.
subtly. You can make it chug real hard. You can make it walk. I can make it walk so good. I can make it turn around and do a 180 like a glide bait.
They're really cool.
It's great.
They're really
great.
cool.
I love the Rico.
Anyone throw the Mega Bass poppers?
They're good too. Pop
Yes.
Max.
That's my second favorite. My favorite is the Rico. Well, I can't really decide between the two of them. The Rico and the Mega Bass Pop Max. Those are the two best ones. Then there's the Don Iviano Splash It. That's probably like fourth on my list. Another really good one is actually a modified.
I do love the jalapeno poppers. I'm sorry, that popped up. Man, I ain't met a jalapeno popper I didn't like. I love them things. How about this? That's a good. Have any of us tried to do the Georgia Bass Slam? I have not. I know Andy Middleton. I think he only likes one, and that's one of the bass from South Georgia. And he actually hooked it and got it up to the thing, but he would have caught every species of bass, but I think there's 10 of them, and I might be wrong.
It'd be
Yeah, I'd never
I might be wrong.
or something
Oh.
like that, or
Paul.
The
I
Georgia.
haven't done it.
No,
every
I'm
year
saying
I get 3 out of the 5
species
that you
of-
need. I just
Yeah.
never finish it.
Well,
up.
that's the. So I guess there's two things. So they'll give you the certificate for catching like 5 in a year, so
Really?
but there's like a lifetime of catching all of them.
Mhm.
And I think that Andy Middleton, he's got all of them except one, and I'm gonna
That
look it up
sucks.
while
The Suwannee is the tough one.
Swanee.
Right, that's what that's the one that I just mentioned.
it's a
the
very
Suwannee.
small one. Yeah, it's one of the small, but it was South Georgia.
Yeah.
That's a cool thing to do.
There's that one. There's a Bartram's bass. There's a Chattahoochee bass, I think,
It's,
and then there's a couple of those.
It's the tough, the really like wild ones are like the Tallapoosa,
Uh-huh.
the Suwannee, and I think the Altamaha. Or the,
Yeah.
I'm
Aren't those all South Georgia?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those
See,
are the kind of the more challenging.
I'm gonna read this.
They're smaller fish and harder to find, I think.
Yeah.
So the Georgia, let me pull up DNR while we're talking to this. I know it was interesting, but he's been trying to do that. And he's like,
That's cool.
he goes, I had it, and then it got off at the boat. So
The Suwannee bass are
That
really
hurt.
cool too. They're almost black, and then they've got that real vibrant blue.
Ooh, that's cool.
They're
of course, I pull up the wrong thing. So
Sounds like a green sunfish.
It does.
Those
let's
colors
see.
sound like it.
The
But I'm actually
rules.
kind of cool with the lower water temperature stuff because like I would get to still throw the A-rig and that jerkbait bite.
You like throwing that? You like
The
throwing
A-rig and
that?
the jerkbait, but it's still going strong as long as the
Yeah.
water temperature doesn't get too crazy high.
Well, I know several guys that will throw an A-rig year round,
All year.
but
yeah.
they'll take it deeper.
Yeah.
They'll take it deeper. So
I mean, it's just a school bait. I mean,
let's see. Alabama or Coosa spots usually have 71 or more poured scales. Spotted
Oh my
bass
God.
70 or fewer.
See, that's what I'm talking
What
about.
the heck?
That's
Microscope.
farmer. Yeah, that's goodness. Yeah. I mean,
am
I
I
just
just gonna sit there and count them?
I think one for trout would be
Do you
pretty
have
cool.
a microscope in your tank?
Yes.
you got everything
My
else.
tackle box,
I
whip
didn't
that
know.
thing out.
I just want to throw that out there because I didn't know if you might have had a little microscope or something you take with you.
All right, so here just for those wanting to know, here's the list of
Oh,
the
man.
slam. Largemouth,
Mhm.
spotted, and it's got little thing. Alabama bass and Kentucky bass will be considered the same species for this. Due to similarities on the largemouth, largemouth bass and Florida largemouth bass will be considered the same species, so the northern and all that. So after those two, you got smallmouth, of course, shoal bass, Suwannee, red eye, Chattahoochee, Tallapoosa, Altamaha, or however they want to pronounce that.
You said it right.
Altamaha,
actually.
there you go, and Bartrams. So
That's all the bass.
that's it. But some of those you got to go to specific waters to catch, like shoal bass. You're not gonna go to you may. I don't want to say you can't, but
Yeah.
you're not gonna go to Lake Lanier down at Baldridge Marina and
Altamaha.
and catch an Altamaha bass. It's not that.
Topwater.
But I do know
Altamahas
that,
were busting today.
see, how about this question real quick? What I'm thinking about. Do you have a favorite stick worm like the Berkeley General?
I have a favorite stick worm. It's actually the Bass Pro Shop Sticko.
Oh man.
The Bass Pro Shop
Oh,
Sticko
man.
for the money is great. They are a little bit soft, but they're not as soft as the Yamamoto brand. And they're weighted just perfectly. They got the right amount of salt and sand in them where they give you that same wobble on the way down. You get more of them in the package.
I was about to
and-
say, and you get what, 20 for
Yeah, you get a
$3
lot.
bucks?
About
Yeah.
$3.
Yeah.
That for the money is great.
Anything Bass Pro Shops.
Especially in those.
Hey, well, I'll say this too: softy worms too.
Yeah.
20 in a pack.
Yep.
Softy worms out of Kennesaw. They're
Believe
great
it or
worms.
not, actually though, when I take that Bass Pro Shop Sticko, I'll put it on a finesse rig like a flick shake. Nobody really fishes a flick shake. I love that thing. But I'll throw it on a 5-inch on a flick shake for spotted bass normally, and I'll take that same worm and I'll fish the 6-inch or 7-inch for largemouth.
No one
Yeah.
throws a. it's funny.
Nobody throws
No one throws that, and no one throws a damn fluke stick either.
Right.
If you say fluke stick, some people they're like, "What's that?"
Well, that's like the Cinco with a little
What did you
little
say
tail.
to me?
Yeah,
What's that?
it's zoom. It's a zoom stick bait with a fluke tail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chris Taylor throws them. He's the only one I know of.
No,
That's what I'm
up on
saying.
the street.
Huh?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, very few people throw that like that. I never have.
I'll tell you what though, that Bass Pro Shop Sticko,
Yeah.
6
Neil
inch black
Scoggins
and
fishes
blue.
them. There you go.
I
That's
caught a gang of 5-pound largemouth on it.
On what now?
The 6-inch Sticko Bass Pro Shops, but in the black and blue
Uh-huh.
flake. I don't even do anything crazy with it. I might do a weightless Texas rig post spawn with it, and I've got a lot.
Poor guys like me have to fish yum.
And getting oh my god,
Yeah, Jason Johnson, and that's true. Nathan Dunn, that's right. If I'm not mistaken, when I did
Jason
work
Johnson.
with them guys, he talked about throwing that as well. He wouldn't tell me how, but he
yeah.
the man was very secretive with his stuff, but very successful.
That's how you
with
gotta
it.
be.
He needs to get back into fishing.
He's busy.
He's busy, but he needs to get back into fishing. That's where he's at. Why do you think people don't throw fluke sticks? Stuff
I
like
think
that.
it's just not a popular design. It's
Yeah.
because most of the baits that get super popular is just because of the hype.
Yep.
You know, somebody
Yep.
catch a fish on it, or there's a video that goes viral or whatever, and everybody's on it. You know, like new technique that came from Japan, the Yanui rig or whatever.
Oh, that
That's
thing
a little thing in
sucks.
Right.
That thing-
I don't even know where
That
that-
thing sucks, dude.
It takes like 20 minutes to like put this worm
Wait, is that
together.
that
Right,
worm
it's
where you
just-
pull it
yeah,
and it
and it
does that?
tears up.
Exactly.
It tears up.
Exactly.
Okay, no, I know what you're talking about now. At first, I was like, what the heck are they talking about? But I do remember
The
that.
Enu
Lava
rig.
flopper got popular because all these YouTubers were using it and stuff like that, and then
And it's fun to go-
easy for novices to take it and throw it out and reel it in and catch fish on it. So
Everybody but me.
Right.
Everybody but me. What is that?
Literally.
What does that say about me and my fishing abilities right there? So, okay, I'm going to ask you this. Yes, you wanted to talk about things other than swim baits, but I know we're going to cover some swim baits and stuff like that because you're just here and that's what you do. When do you transition? Well, do you want to transition into that right now, or I
Sure,
mean,
why not?
when do you start throwing these big things?
you can swim bait fish year round.
Year
You can swim
round.
bait fish all year round. It's normally better when the water's a little bit cooler.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
well, actually, I take that back. You can swim bait fish year round, and
Yes,
it's
sir.
better for certain baits when the water is cooler. At different water temperatures, different swim baits tend to work a little bit better. Like say, glide baits work better when the water's a little warmer, and those big soft baits they work a little bit better when the water's a little bit cooler.
Yep.
So you can swim bait fish year round. You just switch it up.
Yep.
You know, you just make small changes.
Okay, well, like right now.
Right now, I would be getting into swim baits with a glide bait.
Yeah.
You know, there's still some fish to be caught if you go deep and you drag like a Huddleston around on the bottom or something like that. But right now, I really be going shallow. I'll start to look for, especially post spawn as we start to get when those fish are starting to come off bit. I would start looking for post spawners off the ends of docks with like say this.
Go ahead. I know you had them, so I was like, go ahead and pull it out. While you're doing that, what kind of chatterbait do you throw?
Oh, you did
I
bring
throw
that
a
thing.
mix of.
Yeah, that's the new bait
I
sand.
I watched his little
Yeah, I brought that
picture
one.
thing.
Everybody's all
I
over
was-
that
I
one.
was
I've
gonna-
got 'em
I was
ordered.
gonna
I'm just
say-
waiting for 'em to come in.
That's birdie.
I throw a couple of chatterbaits. I throw the mini max. First of all, that one's really good. If it's if you're going pond fishing, you can throw this. Or if you go to anywhere where the bait fish are a little bit smaller, I like to throw that. I'll throw a jackhammer. That's the one that everybody says is overhyped, but I don't really think so. It works. It just
That's
comes
good.
with better stuff on it than all the other ones do. So I'll throw a jackhammer, I'll throw a custom, and I've started throwing the big blade too. This one has just a huge blade in comparison to your average chatterbait. It has a whole lot more thump. That one's really good in off-colored water, and when I'm looking for a little bit bigger fish too. So
the big blade.
yeah, the big blade. You
Yeah.
see how huge that thing is?
Yeah, that's awesome. That's Brian Thirstbait.
Yeah, that blade is just giant on there. I mean, you
That's
can
cool.
feel it all the way down into the butt
Is
of the
that a
rod.
I
Z-
never
is
threw
that a
one.
Z-Man product though?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Because I was wondering because I had the coffin blade. That's why I was asking.
Yeah, thrift.
Lord knows they probably got coffin blade.
You feel it all the way down into the butt of the rod when you're retrieving that thing through the water. It's crazy.
Gotcha. All right, so let's.
So can you work it like slower, kind of like?
Mhm.
Okay.
It works better at
'Cause-
slower speeds because it just has so
Yeah,
much
all
water
that-
resistance.
yeah. Because I mean, I've always wanted to try. I've always wanted to kind of try it instead of a spinnerbait where I would slow roll a spinnerbait or something. Yeah, I've just never got my hands on one. I just haven't gotten to it.
The one that I think that people should be using that nobody's really paying any attention to is that Chatterbait CFL, with the football head on it. I think that'd be a good crankbait alternative,
Really,
but that one's not as popular as any of the other Chatterbaits.
I have
who
some of
puts that
the.
out?
That's made by a Z-Man. It's
Yeah,
a
it's a
Chatterbait CFL. It's got a football head. It's a football head jig, but it's free
Yeah.
swinging. It's like a swing head.
Yeah.
But it's got the skirt on it and just regular trailer on it, like how you would do a regular Chatterbait.
Mhm.
But you fish it across the bottom. It's designed to stay down.
Okay.
So I think it'd be a good crankbait.
I have some of the Picasso tungsten chatterbait, whatever's.
I think you're talking about the what do they call it?
Well, Picasso.
I don't know what they
Picasso puts out that.
Well, we just said the word Picasso.
Yeah, we said we
So
went.
any number of their guys will be here.
Yeah.
That's
Barday's
true.
fishing.
That's true.
Barday's fishing. Unless he's listening to us, he's not going to chime in.
But
But
the Spidey sense is tingling.
yes, you know he's like somewhere in the universe. Something's in the back of the head, like
Picasso.
Danny says
Picasso.
Picasso. I know
Picasso.
somewhere. The Weedless Project Z is amazing. Josh Tatum
Really?
says so like that. I haven't fished with that.
That
The
mini
Project
one.
Z was all right, and the Chatterbait weedless one is all right. Too.
I'm just
It's
not,
just not my preferred.
I should throw it.
That
I-
mini one, I had a day on where is it? Not Chatu, Notley. Oh, skipping that thing under docks and Notley. Oh, it was just
We've
a
had this
heck of a
argument
day.
or discussion before. Is you got your old school guys that would rather throw a spinnerbait, and the chatterbait's kind of like the new wave type thing.
Can't skip a spinnerbait like you can a chatterbait.
You might not. But, I mean, you throw a
That's-
spinnerbait more than a
that's right.
chatterbait, or vice versa.
I throw more spinnerbait than anything.
Right? Yeah.
I rarely ever throw a chatterbait.
I don't either.
I just
I don't either. I don't. I mean, I'm
I'd-
not saying don't catch fish,
yeah,
but I'd rather throw a
For me, it's just
spinnerbait. You'd rather-
situational.
Which one would you rather throw?
Between the spinnerbait and chatterbait,
Yeah. Or does it depend on where you're fishing?
it kind of depends.
that's
It kind of depends. Because around grass, I definitely prefer a chatterbait.
yeah, of course.
But fishing in around like rock or when I'm throwing at something like lay down or something like that, I go with spinnerbait because that spinnerbait will come
That's-
around.
that's-
I agree with what he's saying.
Chatterbait suck
Yeah.
through wood, but they're great
Yep.
for grass.
Like
They
grass,
suck through wood, but they're
Chatterbaits
great. There
will
you
hang
go.
in wood
I got you.
grass, the docks, all that stuff, and then like when you're coming down those blowdowns with a big old spinnerbait just rolling up, that's fun.
That big green flash comes
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Farmer can definitely skip them. I watched him skip that. What is that thing called? That swim head that's got the he throws them.
Oh, the pulse
fish.
heads.
What is that?
The,
what is that actually?
Scrounger heads.
Scrounger head.
Yeah, no,
I
those,
don't know how
those are
anybody
fun
skips
little
that
guys.
thing, and I watch him go.
That's awesome.
Good
Isn't
grief,
it?
I'm
What was he
beat
throwing on the back of it?
I'm gonna keep that. I'm gonna keep
I
that.
tried to get
Let's
that
pull
in
Let's pull
there.
them puppies out. Let's get back on that swim bait thing right
Okay,
there.
so the whole swim bait thing. Let me get.
Yeah, it was a great- what you got to do is you got to be up at the store while he's here. I'll
I
let
have
him
been.
tell you.
I have
I'm not
been.
going
He's
to.
giving me some juice.
He's giving you some juice.
Okay, so last time I was up here, I
That's a
had
nice
showed
bait.
off the Explorer Glide by Bait Sanity. That was probably the best budget glide bait for its size on the market. This thing for $70 is actually a really, really great glide bait.
I've got one and I still haven't thrown it yet.
Really?
You have a rod for it?
You don't own, I'm about to say you don't own a rod to throw.
No, you got to have the right stuff to throw something this
Okay.
big.
So what? Okay, so give me your setup for that.
I would throw. Oh, mine is a 711 extra heavy, and I throw it on 25-pound test with
I got
a
that rod. I got that FX. That
400
was
size
throw it.
reel.
You don't have a reel to throw it on either.
Now the reel may be different. What reel you chunk it on?
I actually throw mine on a pin because I use that same rod for saltwater stuff. But you could get away with using like that Corrado 300 or a
Or
Tranx
Metanium?
or a
The biggest
Dival
Or the-
Lex.
I want to use a Matane.
Everybody-
Blow up that thing.
You would.
Yeah.
You would
The
think.
biggest
Yeah.
thing, if you pay attention, pay
Titanium.
attention to what he's saying there. The biggest thing when if you're going to go make a commitment to go throwing those baits, you can't go running around throwing those things like 150s.
Right.
Yeah.
You have to buy at minimum a 200 series size.
Right.
reel.
300 is-
You will tear up the gears in
300
that
is
reel.
probably the best.
Yeah.
You will blow out the
Yeah,
reel,
300.
the gears. in
Oh,
that reel.
something like that. 300.
Yeah.
No, okay, I got you.
Now,
200s
see-
aren't that much bigger than 150.
You don't have to go with a real big reel if you just don't go with real big baits. If you go with
Yeah.
baits that are maybe 2 ounces, no more than 3 ounces at most, no longer than maybe like 7 inches, you can get away with using a heavy jig rod and like a 150, 200 size reel,
Right.
as long as you don't put too much strain on it. Because what's going to mess you up is using a really, really big bait and throwing it on a regular size reel. You'll destroy the gears on there. It just can't handle the load of something like this repetitively over and over and over again.
Gotcha.
So you got no choice but to beef up to an actual swim bait rod if you're gonna throw that kind of stuff. But
What about that Abu that we got upstairs?
Abu?
Abu.
Would that throw it?
Abu.
That old school
What is
one, it's
it?
made in Sweden. Come on,
If it's
Yeah,
a-
it would throw it.
but it wouldn't be the beta. It wouldn't be the one of choice.
You would probably get tired quicker if you put
That's
that.
a big
True,
part of
it
it.
is heavy.
Big
It's
part of
heavy.
that.
It's
Mhm.
heavier. See, like the reels that they'd like to do with, like, I'm sure, like with Jeremiah, he's your Shimano guy. See, the one thing too, he's got the big reels, but they're also lighter.
yeah.
Okay.
And so he's able to throw them for a couple hours at a time, and it really doesn't put a whole lot of strain on his wrists and his forearms.
Yep.
Okay, I got
Throw
you.
one around.
Same as Alabama ring.
Same thing with the A-rig, because that one's got some weight to it. You're not really casting an Alabama rig as much as you are just kind of like,
Lobbing
tossing
it,
it. It's a lob cast. It's not really like
Danny
punching it.
just don't contact. Yeah.
Hey, there you go, man. That's it. Hey, you're right up my alley right there. All right, pull out this one. This is a new bait that Bait Sanity's got out.
So this is a new bait that Bait Sanity came out with. This is the Explorer Gill Glide. This bait you don't have to have an actual swim bait rod for. You can get away with it.
How much does it weigh?
It doesn't weigh very much. And it's actually printed on the back of the box. But this one's only like 2 ounces and some change, I believe. And
It's about Gannerelle size.
yeah, it's about the size of the
It's
Jackson
kind of that
Ganserel.
shape too. It really does have
It's
that.
kind of the same
It
shape.
should be that shape, shouldn't it?
Yeah.
2.5 ounces.
Okay. Well, no.
2.5 ounces.
It's got
There
that
you
more
go.
flat bottom, kind of
Okay,
the. It really does because the Ganserel is not like a perfect bluegill shape, but it's
Yeah,
Okay.
it's perfect for a
that
bait
one
like
is
that.
actually a little bit better shape, though, I think, on the Gill Glide.
It
Yeah,
is. It's nice.
it's got sort of
It's really
it's not as tall as a lot
Yeah.
of the bluegill baits out there. It's easier for the fish
That's
to
what
get
I was
down.
saying.
So,
That's a
you're
little
not
tail.
going to miss as many fish with it.
Now,
I mean, a
what?
3
I really
pounder.
like
a
it.
3-pounder could easily inhale.
Oh
that.
yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Right.
yeah, yeah.
Like easily. Like as another thing too, like about glide bait fishing and swim bait fishing. A lot of guys get that don't want to do it and don't want to throw it. They're intimidated by it
Yeah, like it's too
because they
big.
think that the bait's too big. But like a 3-pound largemouth could very easily get that thing in its
Oh,
throat.
vaporize.
Oh.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So and a 3-pound largemouth is, I mean, it's a good fish. I mean, it's no giant,
Yeah.
but
It
a
still would
lot
hit
of guys, yeah. It's, I mean, you go catch some 3-pound largemouth on that thing, and you're like, oh well, I'm my new favorite bait.
It's like
So
What depth do you try and target with a glide?
Why I was saying that I normally throw them around a little bit warmer water temperatures is because generally speaking, most glide baits are thrown where you can see them. You want to keep them in the upper part of the water column. You can count them down as deep as you want to go and fish down there, but who wants to throw a $300 glide bait and let it sink down 30 feet of water where you can't see it?
Yep.
And fish
Yeah.
over a brush pile.
Right, absolutely.
So-
yeah, that
yeah,
makes
that's
sense.
horrifying.
That makes sense.
I normally keep it in the upper part of the water column where I can see it, unless I'm prepared to lose it. If I say I'm a bank fisherman, so I can't chuck it way out where I know that there's a laydown where I've been catching fish on a jig, and I can see it on front facing sonar and be like, okay, I'm right over the top of the brush pile, and I can watch the fish come up and eat it. I can't do that, so I have to be
Right.
prepared to lose it if I throw it out there.
you got a couple questions about the trace and the draw.
I
Okay.
don't really think anybody likes to draw. Nobody likes to draw.
Yeah, we
Because
hate the draw.
What is the draw?
I don't
It's,
know.
bait by 6 cents. It's
Okay.
a light bait by 6 cents. It's like 9 or 10 inches long, and it has a very narrow swimming action. When normally when you go to this size of glide bait, they have a wide swing.
Yes, that does.
Yeah,
I've
this
seen the
one-
videos.
I can get it to swing three or 4 feet side to side.
That's
But that
awesome.
6 cents draw, it has the glide of like a S waver, which has a really tight joint and only
Okay.
goes left and right. So
Okay, there you go. Do you find that how much of let me ask you this, how much time of the year are you throwing those type baits being from the bank? I mean, do you really throw them a lot or just in special circumstances?
about 7 or 8 months out of the year.
So you're throwing them a lot. So you got one of them with you pretty much all the time when you
The 3 boxes that go with me everywhere I go, no matter where I'm at, most of the time is going to be my swim bait box, my crankbait box, and my jig box. I take those just about everywhere. The only exceptions are when I'm going to like Lake Alatoona, where I know that my odds of catching a freaking 10-pounder on this thing aren't super high.
makes sense
Or
because they're eating bait this big.
yeah,
That's what he said, little bitty bait.
fish in general.
Little bitty fish.
Docks is where I throw most of my glide baits are around laydowns.
Everywhere I've tried is a dock for the most part. And I suck at glide baits, but
Oh, there you go.
Uh,
I've seen a couple.
Guys
I've
say,
seen a couple.
Which
Paul's
one?
never caught one on
At the
glide
top?
bait.
Yeah.
except for big swim baits, you can use a round reel. They
Uh-huh.
normally have lower gear ratios and large line capacity. That guy's absolutely right. That's why I actually kind of prefer to go with round reels. Everybody, at first, everybody was
There you go.
using that Shimano Calcutta, the 400 TE.
Mhm.
That was the swim bait reel at the time, and it's a big 400 size round reel
Yeah.
with a really high line capacity. I don't like throwing a swim bait and running out of line because
Makes
I
sense.
not only use them for largemouth, but I also use them for stripers and stuff like that. And if you're looking at the bottom of your spool and you stick a striper and you got a $200 bait on the end of it, that's a bad situation.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's
So-
it. I imagine rivers would be great for glides too.
They are.
So,
You lose a lot of stuff. You lose a lot of stuff in the river.
Yeah,
You need
especially
different baits for that too, though.
yeah.
You lose a lot more stuff in the river.
Well, I would for
They
sure.
don't-
That's
they
horrible.
Don't have as much actrite in current. Like,
Right.
You got to be
Yeah.
about it.
The other thing about throwing a glide bait in the river is you have to keep up with the bait because the current's moving it the
Yep.
whole time. So I have to keep up with a little bit faster gear ratio reel.
Right. Okay.
Um,
All
that's-
that makes sense.
That would
to me.
scare me too much in the river because I know.
What's the
Yeah, right.
fastest you go to? Like 6'4" 1.
Fastest I go to is a 6'4" 1, but I have one that's like a 7 something.
Two.
I think
It's usually like
7.3, 7.6,
Yeah.
something like that. But it's designed for salt water, so I just slow myself down. It has the power handle on it too, so you can kind of get carried away with cranking a little bit too fast. All you do is just slow it down.
Okay. All right. There you
It's
go.
easier to slow down with a 7-speed than just to speed up with a 5-to-1 one.
Yeah.
Now,
You watch his videos and stuff because I'm watching videos. You watch his videos when he throws stuff like that, even like a mag draft, for example. He's throws that thing out there, and then he's about reeling it about like this.
Mm-hmm.
okay, so he's not burning.
Well, see, the thing with the mag draft though is that it only swims at one set speed.
Yeah.
If you go too slow, it'll be dead action in the
Yeah.
water. And if you go too fast, it'll blow out. So the mag draft, I just give it a steady retrieve.
Okay.
I love that mag draft.
It's my favorite swim bait.
Yeah,
I
it's
love
awesome.
The mag draft.
I suck at glide baits,
Everybody
but I love that mag draft. Oh man,
Okay. What's the biggest fish you ever caught on one?
God, probably 4.
Okay.
I throw it around spots a lot, so I don't know.
You don't fish any of these type baits, do you?
Yeah.
A mag draft?
I've never thrown a mag draft.
Really?
I buy enough of them to keep them in the package. That's one of the 8-inch that's in the package. I got one that I've been using.
See, yeah, for me, it's just that 6-inch around the spotted bass. I don't get around the big largemouth with
Okay.
those.
But,
But
so, do you ever add another hook to it? Because I just got this one hook.
No,
that's perfect.
that's the way that it
perfect.
comes in the package, and it's fine the way it is. You'll be surprised how well they choke that thing.
The only reason I say that is I see guys adding hooks on flukes, adding a second hook or a
That's
treble hook.
because you're moving a fluke.
These are the two I've been using.
Fluke so fast.
Yeah.
That's swat at it.
Okay.
Those are the two I've been using. They're a little bit beat up. The ones that I had with
Well,
all the
beat up's
crazy
good.
teeth
I mean, I
marks
guess
in
that
them.
means
Hold
something's
that
hitting
up
it.
in your right hand a little bit.
Okay. You're yeah.
So
Jeremiah.
my right hand. This
If
one?
you want me to hold one, I can put it right in front of Danny's camera.
You can do that too.
if it's in focus.
So that is the mag
Go for it,
draft by Mega
There we
Bass.
are. There we are.
It's swimming right through the frame.
Good.
Oh my gosh, I'm hungry. I want it.
That bait is $25, and for $25, it is an incredible swim bait. I like to use it on
Gotta
the
get that
same
body
type of
rock.
stuff I normally use.
Oh,
What is better?
No, that's the 8-inch though. That's my favorite
Question of the
size.
week gets a mag draft. Yeah.
There's a 10-inch.
Yeah. There you go.
That's a
Good.
That's the
Lord.
big one right there.
This is John Holmes of fish baits right here. My God.
you don't know who John Holmes is.
Oh, I do. I'm that old.
So for
I am
size
that old.
comparison,
That's pre-Jesus, Danny.
that's an 8-inch.
All right, so
And I've got the one Beasley was talking about. I got the 6-inch.
there you go.
Oh, the spotted bass just
But mine is the mag draft freestyle in the
This catches
6-inch.
big females right here. That's a that is a heck of a difference. So
Yeah.
now you throw this on the same kind of reel that you would throw that right there, because this one you got a part. I mean, it looks like this. It looks like I mean, my God, what I've like caught bass smaller than this.
Oh, because I
mean,
caught
it's
plenty smaller than that.
Incredible. All right, so good.
I feel like a wimp. That's where I stay
All right,
right
so that's
there.
right here.
That-
All right,
That's
so
what I
this,
say.
this is a 6-inch mag.
That's spotted bass candy.
Mhm.
They love
This
just going.
is a what? What's it? 8?
That's the 8.
I'm trying to make it work. And then here's your 10.
Yep, that's the 10.
Now, I'm going to ask you a question. How many bass, actual bass, have you, not stripers, bass, have you ever caught on this thing?
On the 10-inch,
Yeah.
I haven't used the 10-inch as much as the 8-inch because the 8's my favorite size.
So
But I've got like 2 or 3 on the 10. I just don't keep it in my hands that much. But the 8-inch, I've got the grand majority of my fish on that one. But, you know, I'm largemouth fishing when I throw that. I'm not spot fishing when I throw it.
so whatever this is made out of, though, it's got to be pretty durable, because if you're going to pay that kind
It's
of money,
nice.
For the most part, the
They're not
magnets fall
super
out eventually.
expensive.
Though.
there's huge. Oh, I don't even know. How does that compare to the Huddleston?
It's not like the Huddleston at all. It's a completely different action. It's a whole different bait. Whole different bait. See, the thing with
Hold
the
on,
hood,
Dylan. I'll answer that in a second. Go ahead. Keep
the
going.
thing with the hood is that you throw it out, you let it fall all the way down to the bottom, and you can fish it like a jig. You can just drag it on the bottom. No matter how slowly you bring this bait back, it just barely have that little soft tail kick the entire time. The mag draft only goes at one speed, and it's normally a middle of the water column type of bait. or upper part of the water column type of bait. And it has both a head movement as it's swimming and a tail movement at the same time. So you get a little bit of secondary action when you're fishing the mag drive versus fishing the Huddleston. Whereas the Huddleston is designed to look natural, and that's it, the most natural bait possible. Ken Huddleston came up with he actually came up with a 10-inch Hud first. And after coming up with some prototypes and stuff, the 8-inch actually turned to be the better size. But it's designed to be just purely realistic and not really anything else. So there's no secondary action. There's no nothing. The lion tie is recessed in it and everything. I actually have a HUD 68 to show you. I didn't bring my 8-inch HUD box, but
that's 68.
The 68's another good one. If you're not going to fish the mag drive, you can fish
perch eaters in North Carolina on a lake I'm not allowed to talk about. It's a pretty good time. It can be
North Carolina lake. You're not allowed to talk about.
Yep.
There was a question. So you keep the bottom hooks instead of hooking them like the Butch Brown Huddlestons?
Yeah. I don't do the Butch Brown rig on the mag drafts just because I haven't found it to be necessary. Even if they hit it and miss it, they come back for it. Yep. You know, I don't really have to worry about it with the mag draft. This is a HUD, a regular 6-inch HUD.
Yeah, see, that looks more along the lines of something that I would throw.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a
nice little bait.
Definitely a little rainbow trout color.
I would love to show Kyle Welcher's video of him throwing a mag draft because it's like perfect. He tosses it right up above. I don't know if you guys have seen it. Tosses it right over laydown, and he just starts rolling it, and then just one comes out from the laydown, just kind of like a spinnerbait bite almost.
Okay.
I mean, really, how you throw a spinnerbait around that laydown? It was cool. It was really cool to see.
Now, who was that?
Kyle Welcher.
Kyle Welcher.
He came in second place at Bassmaster.
Yep, he did.
Okay,
Classic.
so he's got a video and stuff like that. Okay, so 8-inch is more natural, I hear from the ladies. Oh my God, I didn't even read that. I just started reading that.
Damn it,
Michael.
There's sponsorship.
Yeah, Michael.
Yeah,
Demonetized right there. And I honest to goodness, I thought it had something to do with more natural. I thought the 8-inch was going to be more natural swimming. I didn't get. That's what I get. I'm going to start reading the comments.
The 8-inch mag, way better action than this.
Really?
I agree.
6 is too tight.
I agree. The action on the 6-inch is a little bit tight. But see, I actually find it to be acceptable as long as you take it and you put it on a beast hook. See, you can get the 6-inch either in a regular mag draft, you can get it in the mag draft freestyle. The freestyle lets you do whatever you want with it. So I kind of prefer the freestyle where I put
Is that a freestyle right there?
Yeah, this is it. It doesn't have
It just
hooks in
means
it.
no rigging. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I got what you're saying. Now let me ask you something. And this is we were talking about fishing on Lanier and who the best anglers. Okay, so yeah, that's the. Let me get it on the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. So no hooks come with it. Now, Jimbo's name got brought up earlier in the show, and I know when he throws flukes and stuff, he nose hooks. Do you ever nose hook anything like that?
No, I don't nose hook anything like that because they have a tendency to have the nose blown out.
Okay, that's why I was asking it. So you're going to go through, however you do it, you're going through, and the hook's going to come out somewhere.
The way I do it, actually,
curious.
I mean, because I'll say the way I do it on Lanier, because that's a wintertime thing for me, so people forget about it by then. But
that's new.
Do you do any Hinkle swim baits? And I'm sorry, I don't even know why I interrupted you. Hold on, so keep going.
No, but you're fine.
I'm not used to him talking.
All right, go in.
No, I just throw the Picasso scrounger head, but actually I just take off the bill for it, and if I cut off the head of this mag draft, it just fits up perfect. It's really good.
To the question that I interrupted you with, I apologize. Yeah, Michael, you apologize. Yeah, you got me, jerk. I'm gonna get you back. Do you do any Hinkle swim baits?
I do not do the Hinkle swim baits. I have bought some. I mean, that's part of why I can talk about that stuff because I've tried about all of it. I've had BGC baits. I've had a Hinkle. I've had Roman made mothers and negotiators and all that kind of stuff. And to be honest with you, sometimes the price tag isn't. Sometimes the price tag you're almost paying for like a novelty bait. It's just cool to have one.
Yeah.
Versus, the
actual use of the bait,
that
you get
right.
out of
like that Roman mate mother chaser. That thing's $1,100-$1,200 is 16 inches and weighs over a pound. What are you gonna do with that? Really?
You're gonna put it on the mantle.
Right, you put it on the mantle.
That's it. Now I noticed
fish for some tunas.
Some tunas. some wicked tumas. Okay, so now look, I saw you pointing at this.
I love it.
This is a storm.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so I'm gonna imagine this doesn't cost as much as a lot of them.
About $40.
Really? Okay. I was thinking storm might be a little cheaper. So that's a storm. Now, what makes this? Hold
on, cheaper?
I thought so. Picking Storm, I thought Storm might be a little bit cheaper. I was incorrect. Or let me ask you this: so you saw this when he opened up that thing and you started pointing at it. What's so special about this one, Ron? I mean, this is the one that you. That's a bigger one.
It'll put you
same
in
size.
It'll put you in a trance just as much as it'll put a fish in a trance. Just the
action.
It's action.
And again, very slow, big wide turns like that.
Well, it's not that wide. It's not nowhere near as
I like
wide
that,
as some of the other ones, but those I would say this about these. If anyone's like got any interest into getting into any of this stuff, like these, don't buy the River to Sea S waivers. Buy these to start out with. Because
controversial.
I'll stand by my comment about that. These will produce a bite better than the S waivers will.
Will spots at this?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Everything.
Oh, yeah.
I hooked the biggest
I
spotted
just did.
bass.
I suck at them and I still know spots.
I have a picture of it. I have held blue. That's one of the reasons why I started throwing this thing pretty hard a couple of years ago in the summer. I have held blueback herring in my hand that are the same size as this bait.
This is actually the blueback herring color.
That's the what now?
That's the blueback herring
The
color.
blueback herring color.
Yeah.
Another really good one that is significantly more
But
expensive.
I actually am
is
pretty partial to this color. And then I have a couple of them that are custom painted, look like rainbow trout.
And that's basically like your sexy shad kind of color.
That's my favorite one.
It's
I mean, it's not sexy shad, but it's similar to the.
I can't remember what do they call that color.
Threadfin.
Yeah.
They call that threadfin.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I can see that. S waiver or bust, farmer says.
S waiver is good. It just has a lot slower sink and it's got a lot tighter action. So I like to fish it a little bit closer to cover, but this one's a little bit more versatile.
They're just not as
It has a faster
Sorry
sink
about
rate.
that.
they're just not as durable as those either. The S
Sure.
waivers. If you make a bad cast with one of those and maybe hit something, there's a very good possibility that it's going to not affect it. I've broke S waivers with one bad cast.
I have to.
Okay.
At them you can. I mean, as long as you don't chunk it into something, but if you accidentally land it on a dot
Gotcha.
and you're like, most of the time, about 99% of the time, it's gonna be fine. But an S waiver, nah. I throw the S waiver down by a dock one time. I got about 3 inches too far to the left, and it hit the dock, and all I seen was the tail go into the water.
I got you.
So,
Shine Glide or bust.
Shine Glide is great too. Actually, I've got a couple of those in there also, and they're in there. They're beat up. They got hook rash and teeth marks on them too. But
Well, that means they work.
I
They
never
are
call
cheap.
on it. They're
Danny,
they're cool
Danny,
looking.
walk into
Yeah.
this dad joke from Phil.
Does anyone know why blueback herring is blue?
No, Phil. Why is a blueback herring blue?
Tell us why a blueback herring is blue. There you go. Did I do that good? Was that perfect? There you go. So I'm sure we're gonna get the answer here in a little bit. Michael Temple says I've caught more spots than largemouth with the swim baits like that.
really,
Factual.
I don't really. I hadn't really spot fished seriously with swim baits until like the past maybe 2 years. Before that, I was just looking for giant largemouth. That's why I got into it. I wanted the
Okay.
biggest largemouth I could possibly.
Yeah,
find.
that's
So
right.
That's what I'm saying. You want to go Lanier with me? You can throw that thing, and I'll.
They will hit.
I know where they
on the
are.
Right day. That I tell you what, Latham's
Oh,
got
actually,
that.
yeah. The
Latham's got a
second you
Seville
pull it out,
bite.
I'll start running.
Absolutely. What about the Guggen?
Nah, Chief. Nah, stay away from that.
Nah,
Stay away from that. Stay away from that.
That's Patterson too. That's Drew. They are only blue when they're dead. There you go.
That's true.
Yeah.
They're only blue when they're dead, but when they're alive, they got sort of like almost like an olive green sort of thing going on.
So Shan, you mentioned Shan.
Mhm.
Okay, so in his podcast, one of the ones we did with him, they're that color. When they're injured, a lot of people see the lavenderish pink color.
Yeah.
So when a
Yeah.
blueback is injured, they get that color.
Yep.
And then as they die, I guess. I don't really know why they're called. I mean, I guess that's why they're called blueback, but
At least when I see them in the sun, they're, I guess, on Lanier, kind of the way the watercolor and everything, when they're in like that couple feet of water, it's almost not like olive anymore. It's like a really obnoxious green, like really obnoxious looking.
Yeah.
I mean, almost like a
green, there you
chartreuse.
go.
Like that's just what I see. I mean, because when you see them, like,
see him in a tank.
Yeah.
The guy's got shooting a lot of O2 in there,
Yeah.
Chad crack and whatnot. They'll be that.
yeah, because I mean, when you see them,
Look at that. Philip said I got it right. I did good. I answered it correctly.
There you go.
I'm hell on Jeopardy, but I suck at the fishing stuff right there. So, soft plastic or hard plastic, big swim baits.
Damn right, Joe.
Soft baits I like a little bit better when the fish are a little bit more sluggish, and hard baits like when they're a little bit more aggressive.
When they're aggressive?
To be honest with you, yeah. That's normally the route that I'd like to go. When the water's warmer or when I'm around fish that are active, like I've been catching a couple on a Lipless crankbait or a Chatterbait or something, I might follow up with, say, a glide bait or something like a bull shad. Something that has multi-jointed that I can fish really fast. That has that sort of
that thing's been beat all to hell.
Yeah, this one's been beaten down. This is an 8-inch bull shad. That's Mike Bucha's favorite size, he told me.
The 8-inch.
The 8-inch. That one's been chewed. But I like to use these hard baits or when the fish are a little bit more active, and then when they're not so active, I'll follow up with a soft bait. Like, say, that Hut 68. This is the different version of the one that I showed you earlier. It has that big paddle tail on the back that it has the 8-inch tail on the 6-inch body. So it can be fished a little bit slower.
There you go. There you go.
Has more time.
Most blue blacks, I said several of them up here. Let me get this one get that one from Farmer first. Yeah, most blue blacks, olive green with a blue and silver hue. Again, like I said, I just go by what Shan said. So, and we were actually designing some colors and stuff like that at the time, and that's why. You tried the new bull shad dredger. Have you tried that?
No, but I do want one. Actually, Mike's having a second grand opening event for his store coming up. So speaking of bull shads, you can get
second grand opening.
Yeah, he's gonna have another
close it
event.
down?
Well, he shut it down for a little while so that they can do these other events and stuff around.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Mike travels.
Right, absolutely.
He gets custom painted bull shads and stuff in the store too, like this one. This is what I picked up at his last event.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I got sort of like a dying gizzard shad kind of color going on there.
Put it in your right hand.
Yeah.
There you go.
So you can get them custom painted. He has all the special versions of all his baits over there. Like the he has one that has a flat tail, a plastic flat tail on it. He has one. He has the dredger with the lip in it. He has a bull shad glide. That's the one that I want. The shad glide. Some of you guys have seen me testing it out in the bait tank. I was there with Mike and Matt Allen from Tactical Bassin and a couple other guys that were there, and I was just playing with it in the tank, and it's actually really, really, really good.
Where's his store at?
His store is over in Ackworth, down the street from the Cabela's over there. I think he has the address up on his Facebook and his Instagram and stuff. You might be able to find it there.
There you go. How do you work a Buka swim bait?
Fast.
Generally fast.
That's how he likes to work it.
Anything that has joints in it, like that, anything that's multi-jointed, I normally work it pretty fast.
Yeah.
I don't burn it across the surface like everybody else, but I do fish it pretty fast. I will fish it like a spinnerbait.
Yeah,
too.
The few videos I've seen of him fishing, he works it pretty quick. Yeah,
in and out.
Yeah, it's quick.
See, that's the thing. On the West Coast, where swim baiting came from, everybody was fishing slow. These big trout imitations, and they were fishing fairly slow. You would take a big glide bait and it would have this big wide swing and go left and right, and you would draw fish up, and you get them to eat right next to the boat. Here on the East Coast, we fish a lot more fast. We fish jerky stuff a lot more, and we'll go burn down the bank a whole lot faster than those guys on the West Coast. And Mike filled that niche with the bull shad. He was like, "There's nobody who has anything that imitates the bait fish in this area, and we just have a different style of fishing over here."
Aren't blue blacks notoriously fast?
Yeah.
Yes.
That bull herring does work.
That's
The bull herring does work waking it.
Okay. Do you use any working class zero baits?
The working class zero baits, I prefer the battle shad. I had one, I popped it off. I haven't bought another one because they're so hard to get, and then you're paying $60 for one soft bait. So
those are crazy.
Yeah.
But it is soft. It's not
it's a soft bait. It looks like a bull shad, but it has a boot tail. Imagine like mixing the mag draft and the bull shad together.
So it's a jointed soft bait?
No, it's not jointed.
Okay, so it's not jointed at all. It's just that body style.
It has, it's that shape and has sort of like the head of a bull shad and the tail of a mag draft.
Yeah.
It kind of looks like that.
It's more gizzardy looking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Burn it like a Seville.
Yes.
The bull herring is hard to beat.
Mm-hmm.
It is nice.
Seville bite won't be too far from coming on.
No, it's been on that. Actually, I'm getting worse topwater and subsurface bites now than I have 3 weeks ago. It got really hot for like a week. It was really weird.
And they started coming up that quick.
And now I'm having a hard time. I mean, every so often, but I'm having a hard time. These guys are probably killing it. Probably killing me too, but yeah.
Okay, no,
I mean,
I'm
I
okay
can't
with
do it.
it.
One swim
I've been
bait
trying
that
to.
you got to try though. If you can find it, I don't know if any of y'all will be able to find it. eBay's gonna have a time after this, but
The K9.
if you can find it,
The K9.
he knows what it is. You get the K9.
Mm.
The K9. That is the the Clash 9
Yeah.
by DRT. Division Rebel Tackles, the DRT Clash 9. This thing is awesome. It's like 10 swim baits in one because you can have this and you can have the different tails and the different lip variations, and you can make that bait do whatever it is that you want it to do.
So it's got a section there. Okay.
It's stupid hard to get though, and really the company only wanted what $70, $100 or something for it, but you can find them on eBay for upwards of like $400 or $500 more than that.
Seriously.
They're incredible.
It's super hard to get, and everybody wants one. So you can have all these different style of
I
lips.
got one right here. There you go.
That's
I
the
like
regular
that color.
You
lip.
tackle him and I'll run.
Never seen that color.
What it's pretty
That
neat.
one's
So
called I think that's a Wakasagi or something.
That's got to be that's a great blueback looking.
So they have a
different-
roll lip,
different-
they got a
yeah.
wide lip, they got a regular lip. They have different tails. This is the regular tail, and this is the V tail.
Mhm.
And according to whatever combination lip and tail you put under, you get different actions.
you just slide it up in there like that. So just on the bottom like that.
Yep.
Huh, interesting.
So I can give it a crankbait action, a jerkbait action.
What would
I can
this
make it
tail?
dead.
What
That one
would
can
this
go
tail
up or
do?
down.
It can go up or down. It doesn't matter.
And
Okay.
that'll change it.
Oh,
too.
I got
I mean,
you.
there's like a million different ways. You
Right,
can
there's
do
so
it.
many different combinations for that lure. And it's
Very
hard to get,
interesting.
you know, they don't have them in America. You got to get it from Japan if you get it direct or
So Japan's really big in the swim baits, huh?
very,
Very big.
very.
There was a question right there. Do you ever do the figure eight after one misses the bait? Like I guess right at the boat.
I've tried it, but it hasn't worked super great from the bank. You know what I'm saying? Because they're right up under
That makes sense. Is that yeah?
you.
Very
He's
good
looking
answer.
at you.
Yeah, that's right. Very good answer. Do you have them follow it up right to the bank and then turn a lot of times and then turn around, or they just bust it?
But that's swim baits in general. I mean, they'll follow it all the way up to until you have a foot of line hang off the end of the rod.
Okay, let's do this. Let's say you're throwing a swim bait, you're throwing it, they're just following it every single time. Let's say you're throwing this big thing. What change or adjustment do you make to actually make them? Do you drop down in size? Do you put another one on? What do you do?
I just do well, sometimes I'll drop down in size because sometimes I'll throw that big swim bait and they'll follow it over and over again, and I can go down to a different size or a different variation of that bait, or I just mix up my retrieve. So
Okay.
same thing when I was talking earlier about lipless crankbaits. Sometimes you get fish that just barely get the hook. You can just change the sound of it. Sound makes a lot of difference. So I just play on different things like size or sound or color. Or
Do any of these things come with rattles? Not this one, but like some swim baits
Some
are
swim
all
baits.
generally kind of silent.
most of them are silent, but some do come with rattles in them. Like Mike Booker, he makes a rattling bullshit. He makes one called a two knocker. It has these two little balls in it, and it makes a knocking sound when you go in. He says sometimes he could just all his fish in the knocker. Sometimes he gets all of them on the silent. Just kind of depends what the fish are on that day.
Dream Catchers has the
Yep.
Clash 9 a lot.
Austin Neary
Okay.
up there. He's a cool guy. He's a
K9
good guy.
is sweet.
Is it okay? Good.
They got a lot of cool stuff. If you're ever up in Western North Carolina, right by the Western Carolina campus, Dreamcatchers Fishing. He runs Austin
Blake talks
Neary.
about that a lot.
Yeah. He runs guide trips for basically all those lakes from Chattooga, Lake James, Hiawassee, Appalachia, Glenville. Glenville's one of my favorite lakes in the world.
Okay, there you go.
And they have a bunch of really cool stuff. Dow swimmer.
Yeah, Jackal Dow Swimmer. When they were talking about throwing maybe a baby bass looking thing
Mm-hmm.
last week, this is what I was talking about.
Okay, well, again, if we hop back to Shan, he said there's two types of bass. There's 12-inch bass and bass that eat 12-inch bass.
Yeah.
So when you're doing that, you're targeting that big girl
Mhm.
right there. What do you think is better, bank or boat swim bait fishing?
I would say boat. Well, partially it's because of all the stuff that you can do to get more bites, and you have a bigger range of places to throw it and things like that. But also, if you snag, you can get it back.
Makes sense.
You throw $300 swim bait, you hook it up on the edge of this lay down way down here. You can just get the trolling motor down there and just shake it out.
Yeah,
If you
That does
snag it from the bank, it's gone.
makes sense. How many times you ever had a striper? How many times you ever lost one to a striper?
Twice. Like I was throwing a S-Waver 200 in a bone color at the hooch, and I had one hit it, and he just peeled off downriver, and I couldn't turn him. He just kept going. He just dumped all the line off my spool. He was gone.
How did that make you feel? let's get into your emotions real quick. How did that make you feel?
It made me feel a little bit bad because I lost the fish, but on the other hand, I was like, that was awesome.
Yeah,
So,
no, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, like
that's gonna change.
that's amazing.
Plus, it taught me, I knew it worked. You know?
That's true.
I tried it. I was
That's
like,
true.
okay, I'm on to something. It worked. That was like one of the first fish I caught, or one of the first fish that I stuck in the river on that bait. So
Okay,
That's
I
cool.
got you. All right, now I'm gonna throw you a curveball here. What do you suck at?
Oof.
What is your worst? Like I just cannot stand to do this type of fishing. I'm no good at it. I mean, I know you generally you're a confident young man, and so, but there's got to be, you got to have some kryptonite somewhere.
I'm trying to think of something I've used that I haven't really caught any fish on. I mean, I would spend enough time with it to learn it though. So,
Well, what's your worst, like your worst technique? Like it'd be the last thing that you do.
Rephrase that question.
Yeah.
What is the one technique that you were like, it's the last bottom of the barrel that you're going to pick up to like try to catch fish?
I mean, I've never fished a Demiki rig, so maybe
Yeah, from the bank that would be.
That would be really
That
tough
would
from the
be-
bank.
Oh, you can make a pendulum.
Well, you know, and not Jonathan, but Jim Farmer will actually throw those up and ditch fish with them. He'll let them hit the bottom, and he'll take a Demiki
Well, I
and
mean,
put a
that
swim
part
line.
is
But
kinda like a
technically,
swim bait.
I mean,
Yeah,
what
so yeah, it
kinda
does.
counts
Yeah,
as a
you're right.
Demiki rig, though?
Huh?
I mean, technically, what kind of counts as a Demiki rig though? It's just a ball head jig with a plastic, right?
Yeah, I
Sort
mean,
of.
I
is
guess
it the
the
vertical
Demiki-
technique or
Yeah,
is it
it's
not having a tail and it's basically like a small swim bait? I mean, it's
'Cause I've
kind of
caught-
one of those things.
Plenty bass just taking a tube jig and sticking it on the back of their crappie and just swimming it back, almost like a swim
Yeah.
jig, and still got them.
Yeah.
Okay. How about instead of saying what's the worst or what's your least favorite way to fish? How about that?
My least favorite technique to fish would probably have to be probably that Inui rig.
The what? Oh, that
Crazy Japanese thing,
Inui
that
rig.
Inui rig with the hook in
Yeah.
the side.
Well,
and-
that just seems like it would take me an
Yeah,
hour.
it just takes
Right,
forever.
it takes forever
get
to rig
torn
it.
up. It's just kind of a. I don't know. I haven't even studied enough into it to even care what it does.
I just
Right,
saw it
but I would
posted on the
figure-
thing.
Cool.
Figure,
looks cool.
Yeah.
It makes a good YouTube video.
Do you finesse fish much with plastic worms?
I throw everything. I will. I don't have. I think that most guys, they just have their set couple of baits and they use them all the time, and either they catch them or they don't. But me, I'll fish anything. I don't care if I have to go through a drop shot. I don't care if I have to go to a shaky head or a Nico rig or a Carolina rig. I'll throw a crankbait, spinnerbait, chatterbait, swim. I don't care. I go there, I figure them out, and once I figure out what they're eating, I stick with it.
How long do you normally give a bait before you change?
I will give it about anywhere between 30 minutes and an hour, depending on where I'm throwing it. If I'm throwing it in a spot where it should work and it's not working for about a good half hour, I'll go over something else.
Okay. What's the best swim bait for Lanier in y'all's opinion? I'm gonna say the Kitech because it's the easiest thing. The little bitty swim baits. But, but if you're talking these big ones here,
Yeah.
For a big swim bait, soft bait, I'd say Mag Draft Freestyle or the burrito bait. Burrito baits teamed up with Mike Buka, and they have them on Tackle Warehouse now. You can get them in two different sink rates: the Baca Burrito and the fast sink, or in the medium sink. It actually got its name from Lake Baccarat out in Mexico, where Mike takes people out on trips and stuff.
okay.
Out there.
What is it about that bait?
That bait is small, but it's dense. It's not huge, and it's just an easy bait for a fish to eat. It's kind of like a good alternative for a Huddleston too. Like if you don't want to sit there and just creep a bait across the bottom, the burrito bait, you can actually fish a little bit faster, and it has a pretty good thump to it also. So you can fish it as a reaction bait, whereas with other baits that are that style, you normally have to fish a lot slower. So,
Okay.
Most people on Linear, we're fishing pretty fast.
Right.
So the burrito bait, I would use that as a soft bait. And for a hard bait, I would either get a multi-joint bait like a bull shad, or it had to be a glide bait.
Okay. All right. That makes sense. Real quick before we get out of here, I know you fish for a lot of species. You've been kind enough to give me some reports for our Tuesday night fishing reports. You fish for crappie a lot.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So what are the crappie doing right now?
What are the crappie doing where?
Let's say Alatoona. I know you fish over that way more for crappie, right?
Yeah.
So
They're kind of staging.
getting ready to spawn. Is it upon us or getting ready to be?
Well, what I've found is that there's a lot of fish that are up shallow, a lot of crappie up shallow that are around like laydowns and around docks and stuff like that, but they're all Well, most of the ones that I've been finding have been a little bit smaller fish. I don't think the big wave of the giant crappie, like dead shallow on the bank of lakes, showed up yet. Because when that time comes, you'll know it. There's going to be people at every boat ramp with 5-gallon buckets. There's going to be the parking lot's going to be littered with tube jigs and curly tail grubs and stuff like that. And I think that they're beginning to move up.
Mm-hmm.
We're like right on the edge of it, but I don't think we're there quite yet.
How do you attack those fish?
Those fish, I like to find like shallow cover, mostly trees, mostly any wood cover. I would fish that, and any like wooden docks that you can find. The metal docks will hang around if they've got like a brush pallet in front of it or something like that. But they'll be around that stuff, and bridge pilings. They'll be around bridge pilings too.
Do you fish for them with artificials, or do you go after them with minnows?
Straight artificial. I don't use live bait for really anything.
Okay, so right now, what would be your artificial of choice?
I like a curly tail grub.
Just a curly tail grub.
Curly tail grubs, and because I'm casting out and reeling back a lot of times, and if I'm fishing a float rig, I will go with a tube. I like a chartreuse tube on about a 16th ounce jig head.
Okay, and when you're saying a float, you're talking about you have a float on top and you got like 2 foot leader or something. Or how do you know to adjust your leader, or is it pretty much the same throughout?
It depends on how deep the water is I'm fishing. Normally the water's pretty shallow, so I'll only have it set about a foot or so deep.
Okay.
But when I'm fishing on bridge pilings and things like that, I'll fish with a slip float rig, because then I can kind of do what the boat guys are doing. They're not fishing for crappie, but I can do it from the bank, because with the slip float, I can move my rod tip up and down. I can get the jig almost in place without it coming back to me.
Okay.
And it'll come back. I'll have a little bit of forward travel, but if I just raise and lower the rod tip, I can get that little crappie jig to bounce up and down in place, almost like how the guys in boats are doing. They're just vertical jigging, just looking at them on
Makes sense.
live scope and just jiggling it.
I need to bring Jeremiah as my partner Saturday for our tournament. Actually, we do have a tournament going out of Toto. Hey, all you got to do is hit him up on Facebook and ask him right there, unless you want me to do it right, put him on the spot right here for you. But you can't listen. I'm fishing against Michael, so you can't fish with him this Saturday like that. So all right, guys. Well, look, we're about almost 2 hours in, getting close, and late in the evening. So I'm gonna wrap this thing up.
What's that thing to your right?
This thing to my right is a Mega Live. All right, we are doing a drawing here. You've heard me talk about it. I'm not sure why I didn't mention it earlier today, but on Easter Sunday at 8 o'clock, I'm gonna have a drawing for this. The proceeds to this is going to the Virtue Recovery House in Cartersville, Georgia. It is an addiction center to help people with alcohol and drug addictions and stuff like that. It's a very good cause. We're raising money here. And for that, so tickets are $20 for one. What did we say for 5, Ryan? Huh? Hit me again.
It's right there in front.
Oh, it's on the screen. Listen, it's late night, man. I'm tired, man. I'm tired. $20 for one, $50 for 3, and $100 for 7. You can purchase them in store, or you can hit me up on Messenger on Facebook, and I can give you options on how to pay if you're not able to come by the store. So we're going to do that, not this Sunday, but the following Sunday. And again, all the proceeds are going to the Virtue Recovery House like that. So it's a $1,500 value, and they're hard to get. So if you're interested, hit us up like that, and we'd love to help these people out. So again, so Jeremiah, listen, dude, what we got? Let's go. One more question before we go. It popped up. I want to make sure I get this question in. Sorry about that. There you go. Dylan, right there. I'm going to get this one up, and then we're going to call it a night. Where's the best place to buy a boat around here? I'm 15, and I'm looking to buy one in a few years where I can save up enough money. Good question. If you're going to buy a new one, you better save up a lot. Boats are
especially
very...
right now.
Well, it depends on what boat you're getting. It depends on what boat you're getting.
You can just make payments till he's 50.
You can make
That's
payments.
true.
You definitely. I'll bring you some there, Michael. I appreciate it. Yeah, you can make payments. You can finance a boat longer than you can a car. It's interesting and stuff like that.
You can a house.
Yeah, you can. It's crazy.
I mean, a fully tournament rigged bass boat's $100,000 now.
Yeah, so I would start off small until you find out what you
That
want.
kayak
Or go
is
with some
perfect, and the kayak is fun.
Kayaks are much more budget friendly and
And
stuff
they're
like that.
fun.
But you can really deck out a
Oh, you
kayak
can get
now,
a
and you
kayak.
can be $12,000 in on the kayak. So
True.
boat stands for break out another 1,000.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it stands for.
But I mean, a nice top kayak, a couple $100 is just a good time.
You can
Absolutely.
get one, a freaking canoe would be
Really?
good.
A canoe.
Oh,
yeah.
true.
That
True,
would
true,
that
true.
would be
There was
good.
one that popped up on Marketplace the other day. I was kicking myself for buying
Really?
a kayak 2 weeks ago. I was like, oh man, could have had it.
Could have had it. So again, Jeremiah, look, thank you for coming up. We didn't get in all your baits, but some good discussion on some techniques and stuff like that. So, I mean, I appreciate you coming up and doing that. Once again, tell everybody where they can find you on social media.
It's King of Anglers Jeremiah on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and then just Jeremiah Giles on Facebook. It's spelled Giles. I put up different stories with all kinds of fishing information just about every day. Also, if you go on GON, on the Freshwater Fishing Forum, they gave me my own sticky at the top. It says Jeremiah's Fishing University. I was just putting up lessons and informational type threads and stuff like that just off the top of my head, and people liked them so much and they were helping so many people, they decided to just give me my own sticky. So if you go on there, you'll just find all types of little articles and things like that I've typed up.
I have seen it. I have looked through it. So definitely good. So
It's good
Ryan,
stuff.
appreciate you too as well. Beazle, Paul, for all the hard work you do. But all right, guys. So again, we appreciate you.
Thanks, so big boy.
That's right. We appreciate you guys tuning in tonight live. And again, if you watch this on YouTube later, we appreciate you as well. Make sure that you hit the subscribe button and click the bell to be notified of any future. There you go. Of any future notifications and stuff right there. And again, if you fish this weekend, keep in mind every Tuesday night we do the fishing reports on our Facebook group page at 8:00. If you go out, hey, give us a little bit of information how your weekend went so we can share it with the community as well. And we will see you next Thursday night with another edition. You guys have a good weekend.